Chapter 1251. Jing Xiaolu took the notebook. Yang Ming took out the memory card from the digital camera in Victoria's hand and inserted it into the card slot of the notebook card reader. The notebook here was also specially prepared by Guo Jianchao for Yang Ming. It was a more advanced model, so it had a built-in card reader, which saved a lot of trouble. Yang Ming opened the photo in the memory card, but what caught his eye was Victoria's selfie in the mirror. Yang Ming looked at the photo and looked at Victoria next to him. He was a little surprised. A girl, no matter what her identity was, would have a mind to show off. Victoria, an assassin, was no exception. Victoria suddenly felt a little ashamed. Her face suddenly turned red and said, "I was testing whether the camera was good or not. I just wanted to find some feeling of taking pictures. That's all. Delete these. If you delete them, you don't have to delete them." Yang Ming smiled and didn't make fun of Victoria anymore. Instead, he looked at the back. Sure enough, only the first few were Victoria's selfies. The back were some outdoor photos. Obviously, they were also used by Victoria for testing, but most of the photos were taken in the hotel corridors or rooms. Obviously, Victoria was cultivating the feeling of taking pictures. In many cases, the camera couldn't be taken out when taking pictures secretly, so it could only be taken blindly. Victoria was probably practicing blindly. Sure enough, Victoria said, "This was taken when I was practicing. It's all behind." Yang Ming smiled and turned to the next picture, but the expression on his face froze in an instant. Huang Yukai? Yang Ming widened his eyes and looked at the photo on the computer screen. He felt a little petrified. Is this the person Alice went to see? This is one of them. Why? Is there anything wrong? Victoria also saw that Yang Ming's expression was a little abnormal, so she asked. No. Yang Ming shook his head. Yang Ming had thought about the identity of the person who targeted him, but he didn't expect that it would be Huang Yukai, the fish that escaped the net. Victoria had never heard of Huang Yukai, but Jing Xiaolu was very familiar with the name Huang Yukai. Previously, Yang Ming had just told her about Wang Shifan. Huang Yukai was an active character, but she didn't expect him to be the person in the photo. This person is Huang Yukai? Jing Xiaolu also knew about Alice's matter. She knew that Alice might also be controlled by the behind-the-scenes boss. However, is this behind-the-scenes boss Huang Yukai? Wasn't this a little too dramatic? In Jing Xiaolu's opinion, Huang Yukai was just a dog-head strategist. He couldn't do anything big except for doing some sinister things. How could he suddenly become the boss behind the scenes? Furthermore, he had planned so many major incidents against Yang Ming. It was possible for him to come up with these ideas on his own, but did he have the capital to do so? That's him, Yang Ming nodded affirmatively. How did he get together with Alice? If he had such great ability, would Wang Shifan still fall from power? Do you have a photo of the other man? Yang Ming hesitated and asked. The possibility of Huang Yukai playing a leading role was relatively small because Yang Ming knew that Huang Yukai couldn't do big things, but he could do some conspiracies. Yes, but it was taken from a distance. It may not be very clear. Victoria nodded and said, there was no chance to take photos in the coffee shop. I lurked at the door of the coffee shop before they left, and then I took a photo of them. Yang Ming flipped through the photo and saw another man appear in the photo. This was a photo of Huang Yukai, Alice, and another man together. The three of them were walking out of the coffee shop. Alice was about to reach out to stop the car. This man's appearance was unfamiliar. Yang Ming stared at it for a long time. He carefully recalled the people he had been in contact with, but unfortunately, this person had not appeared. The appearance of this man had no special features. It could even be described as ordinary and insignificant. It was a common face, and his figure was very ordinary. There was nothing unusual about it. He was the kind that could be directly ignored in the sea of people. However, he didn't know why this person gave Yang Ming a sense of familiarity. It was like déjà vu, but after careful observation, there was still no clue. Yang Ming was sure that he had never seen this person before. Could this person be the behind-the-scenes boss? Yang Ming wasn't sure. From Huang Youcai's appearance here, it could be seen that the person Alice was in contact with this time might not be the behind-the-scenes boss. Maybe it was the two underlings of the behind-the-scenes boss. Thinking of this, Yang Ming sighed slightly. Although these clues were somewhat helpful to Yang Ming, they were not very helpful. Even if he knew that Huang Youcai was involved in the behind-the-scenes boss, it was just Huang Youcai. Judging from the behind-the-scenes boss's style of doing things, he contacted Elder Yu, Tian Long, Sui Yuejin, even Chu Daming and Lu Chan, and now Huang Youcai. This also showed that the behind-the-scenes boss would use anyone to deal with him. It didn't necessarily mean that this person was very capable. Therefore, if Huang Youcai wanted to avenge Wang Shifan and Wang Jitao, it was understandable for him to seek refuge with the behind-the-scenes boss. Since there was no clue about this matter, then it was better to solve the other matter in front of him. Yang Ming was not in a hurry to find the behind-the-scenes boss now, because Yang Ming also knew that this was unrealistic. Victoria, you go back and continue to monitor Alice. Take photos at any time if there is a situation. You can act at your discretion. You don't have to call me for everything. It's fine as long as you are not discovered. Yang Ming instructed Victoria. Yes. Mr. Yang. Victoria nodded, but she didn't stay for a long time. She stood up directly and walked in the direction of the door. For Victoria's swift and decisive action, Jing Xiaolu was a bit baffled. After she left, Jing Xiaolu asked, Yang Ming, where did this Victoria come from? Why does she look so cool and cold? This is a female bodyguard that I found. I am going to secretly protect Chen Mengyan and the others. Yang Ming didn't hide anything from Jing Xiaolu. However, because Alice's identity is suspicious, I let her stay in the hotel and secretly pay attention to Alice's movements. Yang Ming told Jing Xiaolu about Alice, but Yang Ming didn't mention Victoria, so Jing Xiaolu was so curious. It turned out to be like this. Jing Xiaolu responded very plainly, but she was thinking in her heart. When can this Victoria become my bodyguard? Yang Ming naturally didn't know what Jing Xiaolu was thinking. He asked her to put away the notebook first, then he hurriedly left the Songjiang International Hotel. He had to find Zhang Jishan tonight to discuss the voodoo on the people around Tianlong. This matter couldn't be delayed. The earlier it was implemented, the earlier Sun Jia and the others would be safe. The lobby manager found it strange that Yang Ming left after a while, but he didn't dare to ask more. He sent Yang Ming to the car and watched Yang Ming's car drive away. On the way, Yang Ming dialed Zhang Jishan's phone. Zhang Jishan, this is Yang Ming. Where are you? Asked Yang Ming. I am in the Huashang district, in my house. Zhang Jishan was sleeping and was awakened by the ringing of the phone. When he saw that it was Yang Ming, he suddenly sobered up. Because his duty was to protect Yang Ming, he couldn't let Yang Ming go out of the way. During this time, because of Elder Yu's disappearance, Yang Ming did not let Zhang Jishan continue to follow him to protect him, so Zhang Jishan also stayed in the house in the Huashang district to wait for orders. I have something to discuss with you. I will come over immediately. Is it convenient now? Asked Yang Ming. After all, Zhang Jishan lived with his girlfriend. It was so late. If Yang Ming went over, he was afraid that it would be inconvenient. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I will wait for you in the living room. Zhang Jishan said quickly. 15 minutes later, Yang Ming appeared in the living room of Zhang Jishan's house. Our conversation won't affect your girlfriend, right? Asked Yang Ming as he glanced at the closed bedroom door. It's okay. Don't worry about her. Zhang Jishan waved his hand. Brother Yang, if there is anything, just say it. And, this time, what I want to ask you is, do you know that there is a kind of voodoo? After people take it, there will be no reaction at the time, but if they don't take the antidote to suppress it for a period of time, the voodoo will attack and die. I heard Lan Ling mention something similar. I don't know if you know how to make it. This kind of voodoo is very simple. After Zhang Jishan heard it, he said confidently, this is the simplest voodoo. Almost everyone in our Miao village can make it. Brother Yang, how often do you need the voodoo to attack? What I need now is the best kind that attacks once a day. After that, it may take a longer time. Yang Ming said. No problem. When do you need it? Zhang Jishan nodded and asked. Can you do it now? Asked Yang Ming. Now, then I have to ask Shao Qi to get up and help me with it. As Zhang Jishan said this, he stood up and prepared to go to the bedroom to wake up his girlfriend. He also understood that Yang Ming looked for him in the middle of the night for the voodoo. There must be a very important matter. Although Yang Ming felt a little sorry for Zhang Jishan and his wife, the matter really couldn't be delayed. He could only let the two of them work in the middle of the night. Shao Qi was woken up in the middle of the night. When he heard that Yang Ming had something to entrust them to do, Shao Qi didn't complain at all. Instead, he yawned and actively worked with Zhang Jishan. This time, when Zhang Jishan came to Songjiang, he had already brought a lot of things about voodoo. After that, he shipped a lot of raw materials for the voodoo. The voodoo that Yang Ming needed was the most common kind, so Zhang Jishan and Shao Qi could quickly prepare it. However, Yang Ming needed more, so it took some effort. Chapter 1252. Brother Yang, I have tried my best, but the voodoo has to be cultivated for a period of time. It will only be effective after a period of growth in the petri dish. Zhang Jishan wiped the sweat on his forehead and said to Yang Ming. It doesn't matter. Just do your best. Yang Ming naturally knew that this thing couldn't be taken out immediately. Zhang Jishan didn't sleep in the middle of the night to help him cultivate the voodoo. It was already hard enough. This is considered fast. If there is no accident, it can be used in the afternoon, said Zhang Jishan. Okay, thank you for your hard work. What is the interval of the voodoo? Asked Yang Ming. It's about 24 to 30 hours. Zhang Jishan said, Brother Yang, do you have any special needs? This time can be controlled according to the activity of the voodoo. No, this time is enough. But after this matter is over, I hope to delay the outbreak of this voodoo to about a year. Yang Ming thought about it and said, it would be great if we could delay the outbreak of the voodoo based on the original voodoo. This should not be a problem, said Zhang Jishan, but you still need to take another formula. You can start to make it, said Yang Ming. I have to go out and do something now. You and Shao Qi will have to work hard. At this moment, the sky was already bright. It was already 5:00 in the morning. Yang Ming still had other important things to do. That was to investigate the people around Tianlong. Although Fang Tian also had some secret relationships with some people who also operated private investigation businesses, these private organizations were not as strong as the official organizations. It would take some twists and turns to investigate, and the efficiency was very slow. Therefore, Yang Ming decided to go to Xia Shui for help. Although he could find Chen Fei, some things couldn't be lied to because of his personal relationship with Chen Fei. Looking for Chen Fei for help had many inconveniences. It was also easy to expose his relationship with the Sun family and Sun Jie. This was something that Yang Ming was not willing to expose now. However, he could ask Xia Shui for help. Yang Ming could use his identity as the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to tell Xia Shui that his investigation of Elder Yu involved Tianlong. Thinking of this, Yang Ming dialed Xia Shui's cell phone. Hello? Yang Ming? From Xia Shui's side, there were noises from the downtown area. Obviously, someone was outside. Xia Shui, where are you? I have something to tell you, Yang Ming asked. I'm doing morning exercises near my home. I'm going to eat something. Xia Shui said, You're looking for me? Business or private matters? There's work and personal matters, Yang Ming said with a smile. I'm going to treat you to a meal for personal matters, but we'll talk about business matters when we meet. I'm just asking. Do you really have work to do? Xia Shui was slightly stunned, but she also knew that Yang Ming's current identity was somewhat special. He was a member of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, responsible for investigating some strange incidents. Their local police station had to unconditionally cooperate with him. I'm going to find you now," said Yang Ming. Yang Ming had been to Xia Shui's house several times, so he was naturally familiar with the road. When he arrived at the community where Xia Shui's house was located, Yang Ming saw Xia Shui jogging from a distance. Because Yang Ming's eyesight was good, he easily saw Xia Shui when he passed through the pedestrians in the community. Xia Shui. Yang Ming parked the car on the side of the community and shouted to Xia Shui, who was not far in front of him. Xia Shui turned her head and saw Yang Ming. She waved to Yang Ming and sped up her pace. She quickly ran to Yang Ming, opened the door of the passenger seat, and got in the car. "Did you put a license plate on your car? The number is good." When Xia Shui got in the car, she saw Yang Ming's license plate. "But isn't it suspicious of being a nouveau riche? Isn't it a bit too eye-catching? My friend helped me put it on. Is it an auction number?" Yang Ming shrugged helplessly. "I reordered a car. I ordered an Audi Q7. I just have to choose a number." "Q7. You're really rich." Xia Shui snorted. "Such a good car. Just because the license plate is too eye-catching, you have to change it. It's really distressing. Then, when the time comes, I'll give this car to you." Yang Ming smiled. "Forget it. I'm just a little policeman. Do you want me to make a mistake by driving such a luxury car?" Xia Shui glared at Yang Ming. "Hee, you don't want it even if it's given to you for free. This is really the first time I've seen it." Yang Ming smiled. "However, when you put a license plate, you can look for me. I'll give you a police station number. There are no odd or even restrictions." Xia Shui said. "What is this? Using power for personal gain?" Yang Ming glanced at Xia Shui with a mischievous look. Songjiang's traffic volume had obviously increased this year. Because the beginning of spring had to be followed by winter's frozen roads, many roads implemented odd and even restrictions. However, although the license plate of Yang Ming's car wasn't a special number, no one intercepted it. "Scheming your head. You're from that side. For the convenience of doing things, I gave you our license plate. This is also what my brother told me. Do you think that if you don't have that side's identity, I will simply give you a license plate?" Xia Shui said angrily. Yang Ming was reminded by Xia Shui. Only then did he remember that he was also a civil servant. "Well, when the car arrives, I will look for you." Yang Ming didn't have to take advantage of this, but as Xia Shui said, with such a license plate, it was convenient for him to do things. At least, he wouldn't get a ticket because the car was parked on the roadside. "Let's talk. What are you looking for me for?" Xia Shui asked after getting in the car. "I need you to help me investigate a person," said Yang Ming. "This person has been very abnormal recently. I suspect that there are other people behind him." "Other people? Who?" Xia Shui asked subconsciously, but after asking, she closed her mouth because she understood the system. The things that Yang Ming investigated were not something that their place could participate in. They were some relatively special cases. Although her brother, Xia Bingbao, was also from that side, he wouldn't tell her about the case. There is no progress yet, and some things can't be said. Yang Ming shrugged apologetically. "I understand. It doesn't matter." Xia Shui smiled. She wasn't the kind of little girl who didn't know anything. Some things were the system. It couldn't be changed because of personal relationships. "Investigate who?" "Investigate Dong Hai, Tian Long's secretary and driver, and everyone close to him," said Yang Ming. "Tian Long? That Tian Long who started his career by mingling in the underworld?" Xia Shui had obviously heard of Tian Long's name, but these underworld people were definitely registered with the police. It was just that if they didn't do something too extreme, the police wouldn't find trouble with them. After all, these people had now entered the proper business, but they inevitably had some underworld aura on them. Yes, it's him. Yang Ming nodded and said. He is from Donghai. It is appropriate to let the Donghai police station investigate. Xia Shui said, you can just show your identity directly. Indeed. Yang Ming listened to Xia Shui and realized that his identity was not only useful in Songjiang, but it was also useful in other places. However, since I have found you, then you should accompany me to Donghai. That's right. In the afternoon, I have a meeting in the morning. Xia Shui thought about it and said, but I have to come back at night. I am on duty tonight. Yang Ming also thought so. After he investigated the people around Tianlong, he was going to act immediately. If Xia Shui was next to him, it would be inconvenient for him to act. Okay, let's drive. I will give you the car, and you can drive back, said Yang Ming. Then how will you come back? Asked Xia Shui. I have my own way. Yang Ming thought, after dealing with Tianlong, the Sun family will regain power. At that time, I won't have to worry about not having a car to drive. So, I don't have to worry about how to come back. Then I don't care about you. Anyway, if you don't have a car, just go to the Donghai police station and borrow one. Xia Shui said, it's still early. Where are we going? Of course, we are looking for a place to eat. Yang Ming said, I know a morning tea shop that sells fried cakes. It was moved from the former shanty town. The taste is very authentic. I know that you like to eat it, so I paid attention to it. Now, I will take you there. Ah. Xia Shui's heart was suddenly moved. She didn't expect Yang Ming to remember her preferences after so long. She had grown up and went out to study independently when she was young. It had been a long time since someone cared so much about her. You don't want to eat? Yang Ming saw Xia Shui in a daze and felt a little strange. No. Xia Shui shook her head vigorously and said, Yang Ming, thank you. Thank me for what? Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable by Xia Shui's sudden move. It's nothing. Xia Shui smiled and licked her lips. Are we going now? Then, let's go. Of course, we are going now. Didn't I say before that I would treat? Yang Ming said, are you going to let go of me, your long-term meal ticket? Xia Shui's face suddenly blushed. When she said this sentence before, she didn't think so much. After thinking about it, she felt that something was wrong. When Yang Ming mentioned it now, Xia Shui was naturally embarrassed. She said, wishful thinking. You are so rich. I want to kill the rich to help the poor. I'm afraid you won't be able to make me poor. Yang Ming shrugged his shoulders. Xia Shui was just saying it casually. She knew that Yang Ming was very rich now. How much could it cost to eat breakfast? Right, how do you know that this shop has fried cakes? Xia Shui was a bit baffled. Many young people didn't like to eat this kind of old-fashioned food, so many breakfast shops didn't sell this kind of thing. Songjiang's breakfast shops were becoming more and more fashionable. They were all snacks from Hong Kong and Taiwan. This breakfast shop is the one we ate in Shantytown before. They have now opened a shop. Yang Ming said, didn't Shantytown relocate? They used the compensation from the relocation to buy a shop. They are doing old-fashioned breakfast, and the business is good. Chapter 1253. This kind of old-fashioned breakfast was fried dough sticks, fried cakes, tofu pudding, and soy milk. However, because the price was cheap, it wasn't very profitable. It wasn't as profitable as those porridge shops, so basically, those who had a shop didn't do it. However, this family didn't have the intention to make a fortune. They were satisfied with just living. After they moved away, they told Yang Ming the new location through Lin Jiyun because the owner of the breakfast stall also knew that Yang Ming had a friend who liked to eat old-fashioned fried cakes. These people knew that the reason why the demolition could get so much compensation was also because of Yang Ming. If Yang Ming's company didn't take over Wei Jin's company, then they wouldn't get so much money, so they were grateful to Yang Ming. Yang Ming knew the address, but he had never been there. This time, he just happened to bring Xia Shui there. This shop was called the Old-Fashioned Breakfast Shop. The location wasn't very good. It wasn't in the downtown area, but in a relatively remote community. The car was parked at the entrance of the breakfast shop, which attracted some surprised gazes from nearby people. The people who came here to eat were residents nearby. Their income wasn't very high. Now there was actually a luxury car parked here. Of course, it would be surprising. Yang Ming and Xia Shui got out of the car and walked into the breakfast shop. The breakfast shop owner, Old Wu, was busy frying dough sticks. When he looked up and saw Yang Ming, he quickly threw the matter in his hand to his wife and walked out personally. "Mr. Yang Ming, you are finally here. We have always wanted to thank you in person, but we have never had the chance." "Boss Wu, don't be polite. My friend and I just came here to eat some breakfast. You do what you need to do." Yang Ming smiled. Sit down, sit down." Boss Wu cleaned up a table and wiped it. Then, he said, "What do you want to eat?" "I will make it for you." "Just some fried cakes and soy milk," said Yang Ming. "Okay." Boss Wu responded and went to work. The guests in the shop were a bit strange. When did Boss Wu know such a rich person? However, they didn't ask much. The fried cakes were served soon. They were freshly fried by Boss Wu himself. The soy milk was also hot. Xia Shui's eyes lit up when she saw the fried cake. Especially since it was specially made by Boss Wu, it tasted softer and sweeter. Xia Shui ate it happily. After eating, Yang Ming wanted to pay, but Boss Wu said that he didn't want anything. He kept saying, "Mr. Yang, I already owe you a favor for the demolition. This breakfast is nothing." When Yang Ming heard Boss Wu say this, he had no other choice. He knew that he couldn't refuse anymore, so he said, "Then, I won't refuse. This time, you treat me to a meal. That's how it should be." Boss Wu said as he took a bag of fried cakes that had been prepared before and handed it to Yang Ming. "I specially prepared this for you. Please accept it." Yang Ming knew that Boss Wu was being kind. This thing was not valuable, so he accepted it according to Boss Wu's intention. "Thank you." Outside the breakfast shop, Xia Shui smiled and said, "You are quite popular. Even the boss here is so good to you. Isn't it because of the demolition?" "The demolition of Shanty Town was handed over to my company, so they got a lot of compensation." "Naturally, they are grateful," said Yang Ming. It turned out to be like this. Xia Shui didn't know much about Yang Ming's company, but she didn't ask much after listening to Yang Ming. After sending Xia Shui to the police station, Yang Ming returned to Zhang Jishan's residence in the Huashang district. Zhang Jishan and Xiao Qi were eating porridge. When they saw Yang Ming coming back, Zhang Jishan quickly greeted, "Mr. Yang, have you eaten breakfast? The porridge cooked by Xiao Qi is quite good. Do you want to eat together?" "I have eaten. You guys eat." Yang Ming waved his hand and said, "How is the voodoo?" "It is being cultivated." Zhang Jishan said, "I will go and take a look after eating." Yang Ming called Bao Sanli and asked him to send a car to pick up Jing Xiaolu. Bao Sanli naturally agreed. Although Yang Ming asked Bao Sanli to send a car, Bao Sanli didn't dare to neglect. He personally drove downstairs to the Songjiang International Hotel and entered the lobby. The lobby manager was shocked and quickly greeted, "President Bao, you are here? What's the matter?" When the lobby manager saw that Bao Sanli suddenly came to the hotel early in the morning, he was a little scared. He also heard about the company's incident. This time, when Bao Sanli came, he didn't know if he was going to attack the hotel. "Nothing. I am here to pick up Miss Jing to go to school," said Bao Sanli. Bao Sanli called Jing Xiaolu Miss Jing instead of Assistant Jing. This also highlighted Jing Xiaolu's identity. She was not as simple as an assistant. Bao Sanli, the vice president of the group, had to pick her up personally. Then, the identity of Yang Ming could be imagined. The lobby manager quickly sent someone to go upstairs to invite Jing Xiaolu down. At this moment, Jing Xiaolu just received a call from Yang Ming. Yang Ming told her that he had found someone to pick her up to go to school. Although Yang Ming didn't come in person, Jing Xiaolu was slightly disappointed, but Jing Xiaolu also knew that Yang Ming would definitely be very busy these 2 days. She couldn't force anything. When the lobby manager found someone to come up, Jing Xiaolu had already washed up and dressed. As soon as the person came up, she followed him downstairs. Out of the elevator, Jing Xiaolu saw Bao Sanli standing in the hotel lobby at a glance. She was a little excited. Yang Ming said that he would send someone, but she didn't expect Bao Sanli to come in person. If she let him send her to work, how glorious would that be? Then, her colleagues would definitely look at her differently. However, Jing Xiaolu knew that Yang Ming didn't like her show-off style, so she stopped this idea. Otherwise, even if Jing Xiaolu asked Bao Sanli to send her to school and pick her up to the company in the afternoon, she believed that Bao Sanli would not disagree. They didn't talk in the morning. At noon, Zhang Jishan shouted excitedly, "Brother Yang! It's done. The voodoo has been refined successfully. It can be used." "Oh. That's great." Yang Ming was still worried about whether the voodoo could be refined when he went to Donghai in the afternoon. If it couldn't be refined, he had to go back to Songjiang to get the voodoo when he went to Donghai. Now, it seemed that he didn't have to bother twice. These voodoo can be refined into about 30 doses. "I don't know if it's enough." Zhang Jishan asked. "If it's not enough, I will hurry up and refine more." "More than 30 doses? That should be enough." Yang Ming said in his heart, "The people I want to punish are the people around Tianlong and the company's senior people. The people at the bottom are all subservient. They act according to the will of their superiors. Therefore, these 30 portions were more than enough. In fact, they might not even need these." "Well, how much antidote do you need to prepare?" Zhang Jishan nodded and asked. "Antidote? Is it the suppression of the voodoo or the complete antidote?" asked Yang Ming. "How much of each?" asked Zhang Jishan. "Give me more suppression of the voodoo." "The complete antidote is not needed," said Yang Ming. Since these people had betrayed once, it was possible for them to betray a second time. In order to prevent a second occurrence, there was only one way to put an end to it. That was to control their life and death in their own hands so that they wouldn't dare to rebel. Jing Xiaolu was quite clever sometimes. This was really an idea that could be done once and for all. Zhang Jishan prepared the suppression of the voodoo antidote, and then packaged it with the voodoo and gave it to Yang Ming. Although the refining of the voodoo was extremely simple, everyone's refining method was different. The proportion of the poison placed was also different, so the antidote was not universal. If it was taken indiscriminately, it may lead to death on the spot. Therefore, even if these people found other people who knew voodoo, it was impossible to easily detoxify the voodoo unless it was Lan Ling's grandmother or Elder Yu, a master of voodoo. Of course, there was also Ma Xiaoyao. "In these few days, I will go out. You hurry up and prepare a medicine that can delay the time of the voodoo. About 30 portions are enough." Yang Ming instructed Zhang Jishan. "Okay, don't worry, Brother Yang. This is very easy to refine." Zhang Jishan nodded and agreed. The combination of interests was the most unreliable. Once the third party paid more interests, then this combination of interests would quickly collapse. Yang Ming was very clear about this. Since Tianlong could bribe these people, then Yang Ming could also bribe these people, but he couldn't guarantee that there was really Tianlong's confidant who told Tianlong about Yang Ming's plan. In that case, Yang Ming's efforts would be in vain. Tian Long's bribing was completed under the high-pressure policy of carrots and sticks. Many people's weaknesses were in Tian Long's hands, so they had no choice but to betray Sun Hongjun. Therefore, Yang Ming wanted to instigate these people. Then there was only one possibility, which was to make them have no choice but to betray. If they continued to follow Tian Long, then only death would await them. Only when it involved their own personal safety could they grit their teeth and follow Yang Ming to betray Tian Long. Although Yang Ming could seal their acupoints and make them wish they were dead, this was only temporary. Yang Ming still needed them to do things for him, so he couldn't kill them. A temporary threat. Although Yang Ming was sure to make them have the kind of fear that was engraved in their bones, the facts were not absolute. If someone held a fluke mentality and continued to defect to Tian Long, then it would be terrible. Therefore, Yang Ming wanted to give them a real threat. Only after they were threatened would they not dare to have the slightest disloyalty. At 1:00 in the afternoon, Yang Ming received a call from Xia Shui. Xia Shui had finished her work and asked Yang Ming if he could depart. Yang Ming was also ready, so he drove to pick up Xia Shui. The two went to Donghai together. Chapter 1254. The reason why Xia Shui accompanied him was that Yang Ming's identity was special. It couldn't be revealed to everyone. If Yang Ming went to the Donghai police station alone, it would be difficult to see the higher-ups of the police station before he identified himself. With Xia Shui's accompaniment, it was much easier. In fact, it was because Yang Ming wasn't familiar with Donghai. Xia Shui leaned lazily on the back of the car seat and stretched. "I'm so tired. I had a meeting all morning." "You are studying the case. Meetings are inevitable." Yang Ming knew the nature of Xia Shui's work. They had meetings almost every day to discuss the investigation direction of some criminal cases. "Many times, I always feel that my ability is not enough. Although I have solved several major cases in this position, it is not my credit." Xia Shui said with some sadness, "In the end, these credits are given to me by you." "I didn't do anything." Yang Ming was a little surprised after listening to Xia Shui's words. Xia Shui actually began to consider these things. This shows that Xia Shui has matured. She is no longer the little girl who only wanted to make contributions. Now she has her own ideas. "You can't say that. For Wang Shifan's case, if you didn't help me, I might not be able to catch them all. Moreover, if you didn't help me take care of Zhou Jiejia's injury." Yang Ming said this with some sadness. "So you don't have to feel that you didn't do anything. Besides, Chen Afu's case was also solved by us staying up late together. Is this still your credit? But, it seems that you are the leader every time, and I am the assistant." Although Xia Shui participated in 2 cases, she always felt that she didn't do as much as Yang Ming. "You are with me. Naturally, I am more powerful." Yang Ming smiled. "Otherwise, why would your brother recruit me to his side?" Shameless. Although Xia Shui said so, it was indeed the case when she thought about it. If Yang Ming really didn't have any ability, then how could her brother recruit him? The car drove on the Dongsong Expressway. Yang Ming was already very familiar with this road. All the plans seemed to be going smoothly so far, but there was no news from Tian Donghua in Donghai, not even a text message. At present, it seemed that there was only one possibility, that was, Tian Donghua had been put under house arrest by Tian Long. However, Yang Ming wasn't very worried. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its own cubs. No matter how crazy Tian Long was, it was impossible for him to kill his own son. Otherwise, what was the use of him fighting for the Sun family's huge business? At Tian Long's age, there weren't many things he had planned for himself. His craziness could only mean one thing: he wanted to lay a foundation for his descendants. Although the Tian family had a younger son, Tian Dongguang was obviously not the material to inherit the business. He studied martial arts all day long. He was simply a martial arts fanatic. In contrast, Tian Donghua was a promising talent. Whether it was in terms of ability or character, he was the best candidate to inherit the family business. If Yang Ming could see it, it was impossible for Tianlong not to see it. In fact, Tianlong had always trained Tian Donghua as a successor. So, in this way, unless Tianlong was crazy, it was impossible for him to do anything unfavorable to Tian Donghua. His son was gone, let alone his grandson. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was slightly relieved. In any case, Yang Ming would not involve Tian Donghua in the outcome of Tianlong this time. At least, Tian Donghua tried his best, so Yang Ming owed him a favor. As for how to deal with Tianlong in the end, it depended on Tianlong's attitude. The car drove on the expressway and gradually slowed down because it was close to the exit of the Donghai toll booth. All the cars on the expressway stopped here to accept payment. Yang Ming picked up the expressway IC card and slowly waited behind the row of cars. However, after 2 or 3 cars, the motorcade obviously stagnated. At the expressway toll booth in front, the people in a black Santana seemed to have a dispute with the people at the toll booth. What happened in front? Xia Shui also felt that the car had stopped, so she looked up and asked. I don't know. It seems that the people in the Santana in front have a dispute with the people at the toll booth, said Yang Ming. Yang Ming had the mentality of watching the fun and looked ahead with his special ability. Sure enough, he saw the driver of the Santana frowning and shouting at the toll booth, I lost my IC card. How much do you want to pay? Just say the word and it's over. Why are you so hesitant? It's not a problem of compensation. We checked the records in the computer. During this time, there is no record of your license plate number. We can't determine which expressway your car entered from, said the toll booth attendant. If you can't find it, then don't check. Can't you charge according to the longest journey? The driver glared and said impatiently, I still have something to do. Don't delay my time. How much? Just say the word. I don't lack money. Why is this woman so hesitant? She doesn't want more money. No, I have to get rid of her as soon as possible. Otherwise, a long night will bring many dreams. If I delay for a long time, who knows what will happen? This is a job that will cost me my life. Yang Ming suddenly heard a voice. Yes, this voice came from the driver of the black Santana. Yang Ming could be sure. This driver of the Santana must be in a very panicked situation at the moment. Looking at what he was thinking, Yang Ming could conclude this point. There must be something unspeakable on him. Yang Ming's inadvertent discovery made his spirit slightly shocked. Yang Ming was not the kind of person who meddled in other people's business, but he was not the kind of person who did not care about things. Even if he saw bad people who harmed society, he would not be indifferent. When he saw the old man who sold glasses being bullied, Yang Ming stood up. It could also show that Yang Ming was a very civic-minded and righteous person. Therefore, when Yang Ming found that this Santana driver was very suspicious, Yang Ming knew that things were not simple. This person was so anxious to escape, and he was very afraid to stay here, which meant that there might be an unusual secret on him that could not be discovered by others. Thinking of this, Yang Ming used his special ability and began to search around the Santana driver. Yang Ming first looked at the trunk because the trunk was the only place in the car that could put things. However, in the trunk, although Yang Ming found some suspicious things, they could not be regarded as too suspicious. A southern car license plate and a military license plate were obviously fake, but these things were found by the traffic police. At most, they would be confiscated and fined. There was no need to talk about decapitation. Therefore, Yang Ming subconsciously felt that this person must have other problems. It was not as simple as having 2 fake license plates in the trunk. This fake license plate was not enough to decapitate him. Thinking of this, Yang Ming continued to search the Santana with his special ability. If it was really something that could decapitate him, then it was unlikely to be placed in such an obvious place like the trunk. So Yang Ming began to look at the corners of the car. These places that were easy to overlook were actually good places to hide things. Suddenly, young Ming's gaze stopped under the cushion in the back seat of the Santana. It was a pack of things wrapped in a black plastic bag, flat under the cushion in the back seat. Although there were not many things, Yang Ming only glanced at it and understood what it was. White powder. These two words jumped into Yang Ming's mind. Although Yang Ming had not been exposed to these things, he also strictly ordered Bao Sanli not to be involved in these illegal businesses, so Yang Ming had not seen what the real white powder looked like. However, this thing did not need to be really seen. Some things could be known at a glance. So, I will give you 1,000 yuan. I really have something urgent. Let me go. The Santana driver took out a stack of money from the pocket of the passenger seat and handed it to the toll collector. Sir, we can't accept this money. You should park the car aside first and wait for the traffic police to investigate. The toll collector was not tempted by the money handed over by the Santana driver. It was no wonder. This toll booth had surveillance video. Who dared to accept money casually? Motherfucker, this woman is really unmoved. If the things in the back seat of the car are searched by the police, then we are dead. What do you want to do? What about your leader? Who can make the decision? The Santana driver was anxious. Sorry, please go to the police room in front for investigation. The toll collector pointed to a traffic police duty room not far away on the right and repeated what he said before to the Santana driver. Motherfucker. It seems that I can't pass. The policeman on duty over there apparently saw the dispute here. He also came out of the duty room and walked in the direction of the Santana. Why is it so troublesome? The Santana's driver closed the door and complained. He started the car, but just when everyone thought that he wanted to drive the car to the duty room for inspection, an accident happened. Because there was a fence in front, vehicles that did not pay couldn't pass, so the Santana could only turn right to the police room next to it for investigation. However, the Santana did not make a mistake by turning right, but he turned a big corner and turned the car around directly. Then, he stepped on the accelerator and sped up on the highway. This change happened in the blink of an eye. Everyone was stunned, including the toll collector and the traffic police who came out of the police room. However, when the Santana turned around, Yang Ming had already guessed his intentions. Because Yang Ming just saw the Santana driver's thoughts. Chapter 1255. From his several thoughts, the thing in his back seat was really the kind of thing that could kill. Yang Ming's guess was not wrong this time. It also indirectly proved the possibility of that thing being a drug. No wonder this guy was so nervous. He didn't hesitate to spend money to bribe the toll collector to leave as soon as possible. However, under this kind of surveillance camera, never mind 1,000 yuan, even if the toll collector was given 10,000 yuan, she wouldn't dare to let him go privately. Therefore, when the bribe was ineffective, and there were traffic police coming out from the police station where the traffic police were on duty, the Santana's driver had no other choice but to turn around and escape. Since he was able to appear silently on the highway, it meant that he did not enter from the other entrances of the highway, but from a fork in the road. As long as he escaped, it would be impossible to intercept him on the other side. Do you want to make another contribution with me? When Yang Ming saw the Santana turn around, he also pushed the reverse gear and turned the steering wheel, making his car reverse. Then, he turned the steering wheel and rushed out in the direction of the Santana's escape. Xia Shui hadn't reacted to what was going on yet. She felt that her body was suddenly tilted. It turned out that Yang Ming's driving movement was too big, so she almost hit the glass due to inertia. Is there a problem with the car in front? The professional sensitivity made Xia Shui think of it in an instant. There must be a problem with the Santana that refused to be checked and suddenly turned around. The Santana's driving speed was very fast, and there were obviously no police cars at the police station, or the police cars were on duty. So when the policeman there saw the Santana suddenly turn around and escape, he was anxious to call for help. Of course, when he finished the call, maybe the Santana had already run away. Although the Santana's speed was fast, the displacement was not at the same level as the BMW X5. The Santana rushed forward crazily. Even if it was driving in the opposite direction, the cars here all gave way to the Santana in the emergency parking lane. Who would fight with a madman? However, because Yang Ming was originally driving in the opposite direction, all the cars on the side lane were opposite, so Yang Ming had no way to overtake. He could only follow closely. 300 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters. Although Yang Ming started half a beat later than the Santana, it was easy for the large displacement off-road vehicle to catch up with the Santana. Do you have a gun? Yang Ming glanced at Xia Shui and found that the distance was so close, but this chick was still indifferent. His heart suddenly turned cold. I didn't bring it. I locked it in the safe when I left. Xia Shui's face was bitter and anxious. She came out to accompany Yang Ming to the Donghai police station to investigate something. She didn't need to bring a gun. She didn't expect to encounter such a situation on the road. Yang Ming got a negative answer from Xia Shui. It was similar to his guess. Yang Ming sighed suddenly. This BMW, Yang Ming had wasted his efforts. In the current situation, it was impossible to overtake, and Xia Shui didn't have a gun. The only thing Yang Ming could do was to step on the accelerator, and the car rushed forward. The huge impact and the reaction force after the collision made Yang Ming and Xia Shui's bodies suddenly shake. However, German cars were surprisingly strong. Yang Ming's BMW X5 was no exception. After the huge impact, the Santana's trunk suddenly piled up like a fold. The Santana's driver saw the BMW X5 behind before. At that time, he was still a little nervous. However, after seeing the BMW license plate, the Santana's driver knew that this was definitely not a public car, but a private car. However, the Santana's driver didn't think that the license plate was real. He subconsciously thought that Yang Ming's car was also a smuggler's car with a fake license plate. He had a dispute with the toll collector in front of him, which attracted the traffic police. It was normal for this BMW X5 to be afraid of being involved and run with him. So, the Santana's driver really didn't care much. However, he didn't expect that the big off-road guy behind him actually hit his butt directly. The front of the BMW car was only a little deformed by the bumper, but the Santana was a bit unfortunate. After the Santana's driver was hit, he felt that something was wrong. He glanced at the BMW X5 that was still following him like a wolf in the rearview mirror. His heart subconsciously trembled, and he stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. Boom! Yang Ming paused and once again stepped on the accelerator to hit the car. This time, the force was stronger, and it directly knocked the Santana from a 3-compartment into a 2-compartment. The trunk and the rear compartment were all deformed. The Santana's driver was shocked. He didn't know why the BMW car behind him chased him and why it hit him. The Santana's driver was a bit inexplicable by this unexpected incident. I didn't offend them, right? If this continues, I will definitely be done for. The Santana's driver was not stupid. These two cars were obviously not in the same weight class. Not to mention the difference in power, but the difference in tonnage and plate thickness was also a lot. The Santana's driver gritted his teeth. He just wanted to escape, but the appearance of Yang Ming made it impossible for him to escape. The Santana's driver reached into the handbag on the side and quickly took out a replica Type 54 pistol from it. He quickly loaded the bullet, turned his head abruptly, and fired 2 shots at the front passenger seat of the BMW behind. Although Yang Ming was chasing the Santana's driver, his eyes never left the Santana's driver. He was always paying attention to his movements. When he saw him take out a pistol, he couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Ah! 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 Xia Shui also saw the Santana's driver raise the black muzzle at this time. Pa! 2 shots were fired. Because the distance between the 2 cars was too close, it was too late to dodge. She could only scream subconsciously. Yang Ming ignored it. At this moment, he suddenly accelerated again, and the front of the car slammed into the back of the Santana. This time, because the Santana's driver turned back and fired, he instinctively reduced the speed. However, Yang Ming did not reduce it. Therefore, when the Santana changed from a 3-seater to a 2-seater, it was hit by a huge force again. The rear left tire was directly blown up by the huge force. The Santana also tilted and lost control of the direction. It directly flipped from the emergency lane into the ditch next to the highway. After a while, the Santana fell into the ditch. Xia Shui woke up. You didn't get shot? The front windshield was broken once before. After that, I found someone to replace it with a thicker bulletproof glass. If the armor-piercing bullet was so close, it would probably be unbearable. However, a replica Type 54 pistol couldn't do anything at all. Yang Ming smiled and said, "Okay, it's your turn. Go down and catch that guy, you scared me to death." Xia Shui breathed a sigh of relief and nodded, but she still looked cautious. Looking at the Santana that fell into the ditch, Xia Shui subconsciously hesitated. Yang Ming naturally knew what Xia Shui was worried about. The other party had a gun. Xia Shui was afraid that if she went down rashly, she would be attacked by the gangster, so he said, "Don't worry. He has already fainted." The Santana's driver might not have thought that when he fired, Yang Ming could actually give him a third big hit. Not only did it blow up his rear tire, but it also made the car lose its direction in an instant and fall into the ditch next to it. The Santana's driver's head hit the roof of the cab, and he fainted directly. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he opened the door and jumped out of the car. He glanced at the front of the BMW. It had been hit beyond recognition. The headlights were all broken, and the bumper was also dragged on the ground. However, compared to the Santana, it was already considered light. In fact, Yang Ming took advantage of the fact that the car was high, and it was hit from the back, which made his actions twice the result with half the effort. He jumped into the ditch next to him in a few steps. Yang Ming came to the side of the Santana that was hit and deformed. The Santana was standing upside down at the bottom of the ditch. The Santana's driver was facing down at the moment, and there was a lot of blood on his face. However, because the ditch was not deep, it could not be too serious of an injury. Yang Ming pulled open the deformed door and pulled the Santana's driver out. At this time, Xia Shui also jumped into the ditch with Yang Ming. When she saw that the Santana's driver had really fainted, she suddenly admired Yang Ming's eyesight. But when she thought that Yang Ming was already a member of the other side, then it was not strange. If he didn't have some special skills, how could her brother value him so much? "Did you bring the handcuffs?" Yang Ming glanced at Xia Shui and asked. "I did bring this." Xia Shui took out a pair of handcuffs from her waist and handed it to Yang Ming. After Yang Ming took it, he handcuffed the Santana's driver neatly, took the gun from his hand, and handed it to Xia Shui. "Search under the back seat cushion of his car," Yang Ming said to Xia Shui. Xia Shui didn't ask much. Why did Yang Ming say this? He must have his reasons. The Santana's back door had been deformed and opened, so Xia Shui easily lifted the back seat cushion. Suddenly, a small black plastic bag fell down. Sure enough, there is something. Xia Shui looked dignified as she opened the black plastic bag. She glanced at the things inside, and her face suddenly changed. Heroin? Follow the clues of this guy. Maybe you can find a big drug lord. This time, you have made another move. Yang Ming looked at Xia Shui's surprised look, as if he had known it would be like this. He said with a smile. Arresting a criminal suspect with so many grams of drugs, this credit was not small. If I can follow the clues to find the big fish behind the scenes, then this credit is enough for me to rise another level. However, does this credit really belong to me? Xia Shui was suddenly at a loss. All of this was done by Yang Ming. If it weren't for Yang Ming's prompt decision to drive and chase, I'm afraid that even if I found something wrong with the Santana's driver, I wouldn't be able to chase, let alone risk my life to play the bumper car. Chapter 1256. Xia Shui sighed secretly. Yang Ming was really much more decisive than her. He immediately took action after making a judgment. What's wrong? Why are you sighing? Yang Ming saw that Xia Shui's mood seemed to be a bit down. She didn't seem to be as happy as when she was about to perform a meritorious service, so he asked curiously. Including this time's credit, it was also given to me by you. Xia Shui's voice was very low, and she was a little embarrassed. So you are still thinking about these things? Yang Ming listened to Xia Shui's words and knew that she was still brooding because every time the credit was given to her by him. This knot in her heart couldn't be temporarily relieved with a few words, so after Yang Ming persuaded her before, there was no way to persuade her anymore. Yang Ming, if you weren't here, wouldn't this drug dealer run away? Xia Shui glanced at the handcuffed drug dealer who fainted on the ground. Xia Shui, I have something different from you. Yang Ming could only say so. So, some things can't be forced. Including the toll collector and the traffic police on duty, they were only suspicious. When the drug dealer suddenly turned around and escaped, they were also caught off guard, so you don't need to have any psychological pressure at all. I hope you can understand this. After Xia Shui listened to Yang Ming's words, she nodded silently. Indeed, what Yang Ming said made Xia Shui's heart feel better, but it still took a certain amount of time to completely digest it. Just as the two were talking, there was a rush of sirens and high-pitched horns in the distance. It seemed that there was a large number of police cars coming in from both sides. The traffic police and the toll collector at the exit of the highway apparently realized that the situation was unusual. They immediately called for reinforcements, so a large number of police cars came. The sound of emergency brakes could be heard. Many heavily armed policemen quickly jumped out of the police cars. They held pistols and pointed them at Yang Ming and Xia Shui. They shouted with a loudspeaker, "The people inside, listen up. You have been surrounded. Please don't resist. Otherwise, we will shoot." Yang Ming and Xia Shui looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Xia Shui was a little embarrassed. This was the consistent style of the police. After arriving at the scene, they must first control the situation. Yang Ming didn't think it was inappropriate. After all, in a situation where they couldn't distinguish between friend and foe, it was only right to control the situation first. Yang Ming and Xia Shui stood there and didn't make any movements. The police also approached. These policemen were from Donghai and didn't know Xia Shui. When they saw Xia Shui and Yang Ming standing on the spot while a person on the ground was handcuffed, they were stunned. A policeman in front shouted, "What's going on? Who are the people on the ground?" Xia Shui, Captain Yang, and Old Li shouted almost at the same time. Xia Shui was traveling in casual clothes. She didn't bring the police PDA, so she couldn't directly connect to the internet. However, Old Li and Captain Yang both took out the PDA at the same time and checked the identity of the Santana's driver. Luokong. Captain Yang and Old Li said the name of the Santana's driver almost in unison. When Xia Shui heard Luokong's name, she immediately reacted. This person was an A-level wanted criminal on the internet. He was a drug lord in the Yunnan area. He often traveled to northern cities to supply underground drugs. Take him back. After Captain Yang determined the identity of the person in front of him, he couldn't help but be a little excited. This was a great merit. If he could find the bigger character behind the scenes, it would be even more great merit. Old Li was a little unhappy when he heard Captain Yang say this. Our Captain Xia caught this person. He should be brought back to our Songjiang police station. What is the meaning of bringing him back to Donghai? The merit of arresting Luokong was naturally not small. Old Li certainly didn't want this merit to fall to others. This is the territory of Donghai. Naturally, we will bring him back to Donghai first. Captain Yang said, as for where he will be eventually escorted, it will be decided after the report to the province. Captain Yang said it in a dignified manner. Old Li couldn't refute it for a while. Indeed, this was the territory of Donghai, not Songjiang. Now, it could only depend on Xia Shue's attitude. I drove the car, and I also hit the person. If you want to take him away, shouldn't you ask for my opinion? Yang Ming said at this time. Yang Ming could accept giving the credit to Xia Shui. Not to mention his relationship with Xia Shui was also involved in the arrest of Heir Luokong. However, if it was given to others, Yang Ming was not happy. Seeing that he hadn't said anything yet, these two parties had the intention to take advantage of him, Yang Ming was a little unhappy. Although both sides were reasonable, and Yang Ming also understood their feelings, the leader of this matter was still Yang Ming. Captain Yang suddenly heard Yang Ming's words, and he was stunned. Previously, he thought that Yang Ming was just a rich family's child, and he had nothing to do with the police. Perhaps he and Xia Shui were just boyfriend and girlfriend. But at this moment, listening to Yang Ming, it seemed that the arrest of Heir Luokong was due to Yang Ming. It is the obligation of every citizen to assist the police in handling a case. Of course, you helped us to catch Heir Luokong. We will also give you a certain degree of reward, but the criminal still has to be handed over to the police. Captain Yang thought that Yang Ming wanted to give credit to Xia Shui, so he explained to him. In fact, the credit for arresting Heir Luokong was no doubt Xia Shui's. What the two sides were actually competing for was Heir Luokong's first-hand confession. Arresting the person behind Heir Luokong was the credit they were competing for. Yang Ming looked at Captain Yang and smiled slightly. Then, he stepped forward and pulled Captain Yang's sleeve. You come with me. Captain Yang was slightly stunned by Yang Ming's inexplicable action, but he still followed Yang Ming to the side. Yang Ming could drive a luxury car with this license plate, which also explained his economic and social status. He was Xia Shui's boyfriend, so Captain Yang had to give face to Yang Ming. If he didn't follow Yang Ming, it would seem that he was stingy or afraid. This is my ID. Take a look at it first. Yang Ming said as he took out a small book from his jacket pocket and handed it to Captain Yang. ID? Captain Yang was even more inexplicable. Why did Yang Ming suddenly show me some ID? With doubts, Captain Yang took the small book that Yang Ming handed to him. He only glanced at the cover and was shocked. At his level, he naturally knew some secret things, just like Song Jiang's Chen Fei, so Yang Ming showed him the ID. He wasn't afraid that Captain Yang would reveal it. When he opened the content of the ID and saw Yang Ming's photo and the sturdy steel seal, Captain Yang's expression suddenly changed. Yang Ming had long expected that he would have this expression. Generally, anyone who suddenly saw Yang Ming's ID would be surprised. He took the ID from Captain Yang's hand and put it back in his pocket. He said, Captain Yang, let's take this person back to Songjiang. At this time, how could Captain Yang dare not to listen to Yang Ming's words? If the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wanted to arrest someone, they could only cooperate. So, when he learned about Yang Ming's identity, he no longer had any thoughts of competing for credit. This person was caught by Yang Ming. Captain Yang couldn't determine why the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was involved in this case. However, he asked Yang Ming about these things, and Yang Ming wouldn't tell him because these were work disciplines. Captain Yang wouldn't ask. Chapter 1257. After knowing Yang Ming's identity, Captain Yang put away his previous thoughts of belittling Xia Shui. After all, Yang Ming was also an internal member of the system. Yang Ming's identity was even more special, so no matter what kind of car he drove, it was possible that he was concealing his identity to carry out some secret mission. Captain Yang was still a very upright person. He fought for credit before because this was Donghai, and it was also because the toll booth in Donghai was the first to discover the problem. Now, he guessed that Yang Ming and Xia Shui might be here to carry out a mission, so he put away his previous thoughts. Mr. Yang, what do you say? We will try our best to cooperate. Captain Yang expressed, I'm really sorry about the previous matter. You don't have to be like this. Yang Ming smiled and waved his hand. He did not pursue the previous matter, but said, this time, I am going to Donghai to look for the police to investigate some people. Now that we happen to meet, let's go together. That is naturally no problem. Captain Yang naturally knew that the things that Yang Ming wanted to investigate were naturally some extremely secretive things. What he had to do was to fully cooperate. Xia Shui, you take this person back first. We will contact you by phone at any time. Yang Ming looked at Xia Shui and said. Xia Shui naturally knew that after Yang Ming and Captain Yang met, there was no need for Xia Shui to go over. Now, Luokang's case was more important. Yang Ming wanted Xia Shui to deal with Luokang's matter. Okay. Xia Shui also understood Yang Ming's meaning and responded. Because of the appearance of Yang Ming, the people on both sides quickly dispersed. Yang Ming drove behind Captain Yang's people and drove to the Donghai police station together. Because Yang Ming's identity was special, when he arrived at the Donghai police station, Yang Ming went directly to Captain Yang's office. Soon, another middle-aged man walked into the office. Mr. Yang, this is our bureau chief Lu. Captain Yang introduced the identity of the visitor to Yang Ming. Hello, Director Lu. Yang Ming stood up and shook hands with Director Lu. Mr. Yang, if you need any help, please don't hesitate to ask. We will do our best to assist you in your work. Director Lu said, Captain Yang will be fully responsible for following up on this matter. Director Lu, you're too polite. Yang Ming smiled. I'm just investigating a few people. Because of Yang Ming's special identity, Captain Yang had reported to his superior on the way. This was also the reason why Chief Lu had appeared as soon as Yang Ming had arrived at the Donghai police station. After Director Lu left, Yang Ming and Captain Yang sat face to face. Mr. Yang, what do you want to investigate? Captain Yang asked. I don't know if you have a record of Tianlong? Asked Yang Ming. Tianlong? Captain Yang gently repeated the name and said, Tianlong mingled in the underworld in his early years, but he washed his hands of it very early and turned into a proper business. However, we didn't relax our monitoring of him. We were also afraid that he would cover up his business and secretly do some illegal activities. This is being followed up by Xiao Ma in the team. I will call him to come over. Tianlong was different from Bao Sanli. Tianlong was in Donghai. He would more or less do some shady business, while Bao Sanli had completely abandoned his original business. Therefore, it was reasonable for the police here to monitor Tianlong. Not long after Captain Yang finished the call, a young man in his 20s knocked on the door and came in. Captain Yang, are you looking for me? This is the leader from above. He is here to investigate Tianlong. You can just answer whatever he asks you. Captain Yang instructed Xiao Ma. Since Captain Yang introduced Yang Ming like this, it meant that Xiao Ma could say whatever he wanted. There was no need to keep it a secret. So Xiao Ma immediately replied, yes. Has Tianlong made any big moves recently? Asked Yang Ming. Tianlong recently? I haven't heard of any big moves. It is said that the Sun family handed over the business to him, and the Sun family retired behind the scenes, said Xiao Ma. Yang Ming sighed secretly. It seems that Tianlong is still very secretive. He did not leak anything about the embezzlement of the Sun family's property. Outsiders can't hear any unfavorable news about him. It seems that he has controlled and bribed all the senior executives inside the group. Those at the bottom didn't know the truth of the matter. They just listened to what the people above said and believed what they heard. The police could only see the surface. It was impossible to know the deeper secrets. However, this was not important. What Yang Ming wanted to know was just some superficial things. Who are the people close to Tianlong? Yang Ming nodded and continued to ask. The people close to Tianlong are his secretary, Li Baihu, and his driver, Wang Renping. Xiao Ma introduced, Wang Renping was originally Sun Hongjuan's driver, but now he is driving for Tian Long. Li Baihu? Wang Renping? Yang Ming silently remembered these two names. If there was no accident, these two people would be the breakthrough of this incident. Who else? Asked Yang Ming. As for the rest, there really isn't much. Only these two are the core figures, Xiao Ma said. Okay, give me the information and home addresses of these two people, said Yang Ming to Xiao Ma. After a while, two printed materials were handed to Yang Ming. After Yang Ming glanced at it, he put it away. Now, there was no way to look at it carefully in the police station. It was not too late to look at it in detail later. After Xiao Ma went out, only Yang Ming and Captain Yang were left in the room. Yang Ming was not the kind of person who would leave after using someone. Captain Yang also wanted to maintain a good relationship with Yang Ming. After all, some strange cases still needed to be solved with the help of Yang Ming's power. Mr. Yang, it seems that we are still from the same family. Captain Yang smiled and said, you and I are both surnamed Yang. Yeah, the surname Yang is a big surname. Yang Ming nodded and smiled. A few hundred years ago, we might still be from the same family. My hometown is in City W. I don't know where Mr. Yang is. Captain Yang suddenly stopped halfway because the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's people's lives were confidential, and they could not be disclosed casually. Therefore, Captain Yang's question was somewhat against the rules. However, Yang Ming was not the kind of person born and bred in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but he was the foreign aide that Xia Bingbao found. Therefore, in Yang Ming's eyes, there was not so much avoidance. I am a native of Songjiang. On the surface, my identity is a student of Songjiang Industry University. Oh. Songjiang Industry University? You are still a college student? Captain Yang was surprised after listening to Yang Ming's words. Although he also heard that the people of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau had all kinds of identities outside, Yang Ming was just a student. This was very shocking. Yes, I am just a freshman. Yang Ming did not hide it. Oh. In your Songjiang, Bureau Chief Chen Fei's daughter seems to be in Songjiang Industry University, right? I have a good personal relationship with Bureau Chief Chen. We used to work together often. His daughter was admitted to university, and I even went to his family's celebration party. Captain Yang said, yes, it is Songjiang Industry University. Hee, you are talking about Chen Mengyan, right? Yang Ming smiled after listening to Captain Yang's words. She is my girlfriend. We are high school classmates. Ah. Yang Ming's words shocked Captain Yang. At first, when Captain Yang saw Yang Ming and Xia Shui together, he thought that they were a couple. Although he just heard that Yang Ming was a college student, because of Yang Ming's secret identity, he should have frequent contact with Xia Shui. Xia Shui was not old, so it was not surprising that they were together. However, Yang Ming was actually a couple with Chen Mengyan, which surprised Captain Yang. I thought you and Xia Shui, since he was familiar with Yang Ming, Captain Yang was not so careful with his words. Xia Shui and I are work friends. Our personal relationship is also good. Her brother and I are colleagues. Yang Ming smiled. Captain Yang naturally knew about Xia Bingbao's matter, so when Yang Ming said this, Captain Yang suddenly realized. After chatting for a while, Yang Ming made an excuse that he still had something to do and left first. He had to seize the time to investigate Li Baihu and Wang Renping according to the information provided by Little Ma. Captain Yang knew that Yang Ming must have something to do in Donghai. He had already given Yang Ming a lot of face by chatting with him for so long, so he did not ask him to stay. He just left a private phone number for Yang Ming so that Yang Ming could contact him directly if there was something. After Yang Ming left the police station, he drove to a hotel to stay first. He had to carefully study the two pieces of information in his hands. Li Baihu, 32 years old this year, had been following Tian Long since 24 years old. He had been showing up as Tian Long's secretary. During the 8 years of following Tian Long, He was loyal. Wang Renping, 28 years old this year. According to the information, he followed Tianlong 10 years ago, but he was sent to Sun Hongjun as a driver and bodyguard. Until a few days ago this year, Wang Renping returned to Tianlong's side and appeared as Tianlong's driver. Seeing this, Yang Ming couldn't help but frown. He was previously trained by Tianlong. He was sent to Sun Hongjun for 10 years, and after Sun Hongjun mysteriously disappeared and was placed under house arrest, he returned to Tianlong's side. It was impossible for this not to explain anything. This person was actually safe and sound after Sun Hongjun's accident, but he continued to be a close person to Tianlong. This also showed that in the incident of Sun Hongjun's house arrest, this Wang Renping must have played a crucial role. At least what could be speculated now was that Wang Renping was originally Tianlong's person. After being trained by Tianlong, he was stationed at Sun Hongjun's side. He had been lurking around Sun Hongjun for 10 years before Tianlong made a move. Wang Renping also played his due role. Chapter 1258. From the information, it was not difficult to see that Wang Renping played the role of coordinating from the inside. If there was no Wang Renping, perhaps Sun Hongjun would not be arrested by Tianlong so easily. No one would be wary of a loyal person who had followed you for 10 years. No one would have any doubts about him. And it was because of this trust that Tianlong had successfully put the people of the Sun family under house arrest. However, this Tianlong's scheming was deep enough. He could actually endure for 10 years. This endurance was also beyond the reach of ordinary people. Perhaps, Tianlong did not arrange a confidant around Sun Hongjun in order to betray him in the future. Some of the subordinates would bribe some of the people around the superiors to inform them at any time. This was something that had existed since ancient times. In ancient times, some ministers would bribe the eunuchs around the emperor so that they could understand the emperor's intentions and movements at any time to avoid being implicated in disasters. Tianlong's original purpose was probably because of this. However, later, because of the expansion of his self-confidence, he had a strong behind-the-scenes boss, so he began to be restless. He used Wang Renping's coordination to achieve his good deeds. Li Baihu was not a native of Donghai, but a person in the south who committed a crime. He just stabbed someone with a watermelon knife, then he ran to a relative's house in the north to take refuge. Because the prosecution period had passed, and the victim did not call the police, there was nothing after paying some money. However, after Li Baihu came to the north, he felt that this side was more suitable for his development, so he started from the bottom of society. He was spotted by Tianlong and became Tianlong's spokesperson. Wang Renping was a native of Donghai, but his parents divorced in his early years and abandoned him. He lived with his grandparents. He was raised by his grandparents from a young age, so Wang Renping was unusually filial when he grew up. Yang Ming saw the information here and suddenly felt that this seemed to be something that could be used. After Wang Renping was trained by Tianlong, he was still loyal to Tianlong after 10 years of lurking. This showed that Wang Renping was still very loyal. If Yang Ming gave him voodoo, Yang Ming was afraid that he would be too stubborn. He would rather die than betray Tianlong. The situation would be in a deadlock, and Yang Ming would be in a dilemma. However, Wang Renping's grandparents were Wang Renping's weakness. I believe that as long as I control Wang Renping's grandparents, then it is impossible for Wang Renping not to rely on me and deal with Tianlong with me. This information was very detailed, and it contained the detailed addresses of Wang Renping's grandparents. Yang Ming had already made a decision. Taking advantage of the twilight, he left the hotel and walked in the direction of Wang Renping's grandparents' house. Just now at the Donghai police station, the front of the BMW had been simply treated. Although it was not painted, it could already drive normally. There were no problems with the headlights and bumpers. Presumably, Captain Yang had instructed his subordinates to hire a 4S shop maintenance master to perform an emergency repair on the spot. Since Wang Renping could sit in his current position, he wouldn't be short of money, but Wang Renping's grandparents lived in an old community. The building should be built in the 1970s, and the red bricks outside could still be seen. Such a building was extremely rare in a metropolis like Donghai. This should be the old house of Wang Renping's family, the kind that had been lived in for decades. When the general elderly reached a certain age, they would have a different kind of feelings for their former residence, and they were unwilling to move away. Therefore, Wang Renping's grandparents should be in such a situation. Yang Ming parked the car at the entrance of the community. This old-fashioned community did not have a parking lot. It seemed that it was really old. When Yang Ming got out of the car, he realized that the street at the entrance of the community was a no-parking section. Just as he was about to get in the car and move the car to another place, he realized that he didn't know when it happened. Under the windshield of his car, there was a temporary parking permit for Donghai's official car, right next to his Songjiang Industry University pass. It seemed that this was also what Captain Yang instructed his subordinates to help him. Perhaps he also considered that there might be some inconveniences for him to do things here. Yang Ming was very grateful to Captain Yang for his consideration. Since there was this permit, Yang Ming did not need to move the car. Yang Ming had seen similar things in Sun Hongjuan's car before. He thought that with Sun Hongjuan's social status, he must also have a political identity to match it. He may have a position in the National People's Congress or the Chinese Political Consultative Conference, so it was not surprising that he had such a permit. This permit could be passed in the restricted section and could be temporarily parked in the restricted section. It could be said that it was quite useful. Yang Ming did not expect his other identity to be so useful. There were many things that he did not have to say, and someone would do it for him. After entering the community, Yang Ming found the residence of Wang Renping's grandparents according to the address on the information. This was a community with an outer staircase. Yang Ming went upstairs and was stopped by two black-shirt men. "What are you doing? Whose house are you looking for?" asked one of the black-shirt men. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. "There are security guards in this old-fashioned community? Maybe there is no property, right?" However, Yang Ming still said, "I am looking for old Wang's house on the 3rd floor. N?" After the two black-shirt men heard it, a glimmer of light flashed in their eyes. "Why are you looking for his house? Who are you?" The reaction of the two black-shirt men at this moment fell into Yang Ming's eyes. Yang Ming hesitated slightly and understood the identities of these two people and why they were standing here. As Yang Ming had expected before, this community was built in the 70s or even the 60s. It was impossible to have property management or even community security, so the identities of these two people became suspicious. When Yang Ming said that he was looking for old Wang's house on the 3rd floor, the expressions of these two people were obviously a bit abnormal, so this confirmed Yang Ming's guess. These two people should be sent by Tianlong to protect Wang Renping's grandparents. However, it was better to say that they were guarding than protecting. During this critical period, Tianlong was also afraid that Wang Renping would change sides, so he controlled Wang Renping's grandparents so that he was not afraid that Wang Renping would have other thoughts. "Are you two sent by Brother Long to protect Brother Wang's family?" Thinking of this, Yang Ming also made a decision in his heart and asked with a smile. "Oh." The two black-shirt men were stunned after listening to Yang Ming's words. Yang Ming wanted this effect. Taking advantage of the moment when the two people were slightly stunned, he quietly slapped the two people on their necks, making them faint directly. Whether these two people were sent by Tianlong or Wang Renping himself to protect his grandparents, Yang Ming's question would make them temporarily shocked, so Yang Ming took advantage of this opportunity and made a move. Of course, even if they confronted head-on, these two people were not Yang Ming's opponents, but Yang Ming was afraid that these two people had some kind of early warning signal transmitter that could be activated in an instant, so Yang Ming made a move when they were distracted. Yang Ming picked up the two black-shirt men on both sides and quickly walked to the entrance of the community. It was now evening, and it was winter, so there were no people in the community. Yang Ming quickly came to the car and threw the two people into the trunk. Yang Ming slashed their necks with force. It would take at least 1 or 2 hours for them to wake up. However, in order to prevent the two people from waking up quickly, Yang Ming tapped on each of their sleeping acupuncture points. In this way, they would need at least one day and night to wake up. After locking the car, Yang Ming returned to the old building where Wang Renping's grandparents were. He went up to the third floor and knocked on the door. An old voice came from inside. "Who is it?" "Grandma, I was sent by Wang Renping, Brother Wang." Yang Ming had already thought of an excuse. "Oh. It was Renping who asked you to come." The door opened with a creak, and an old lady stood inside the door. "Come in quickly." "Grandma, where is Grandpa?" "Hurry up and come with me." Brother Wang offended someone outside. "Someone wants to harm you. Brother Wang asked me to pick you up," Yang Ming said hurriedly. Although Yang Ming could use violence to forcibly seize these two old people, Yang Ming did not do so. Yang Ming had not reached the level of madness. These two old people were innocent. Yang Ming used them just to let Wang Renping abandon the dark side. Yang Ming would not do anything to these two old people. It was also Yang Ming's white lie. "Ah. Renping is in trouble?" The old lady was shocked and quickly shouted into the house, "Old man, come out quickly. Renping is in trouble." His friend came to report. When the old lady shouted, an old man with gray hair ran out of the house with a rolling pin in his hand. Apparently, the two old people were making noodles before. "What's wrong? What happened to Renping?" The old man was anxious. "Brother Wang is fine now. He is very safe, but he is afraid that the enemy will find you, so he sent me to pick you up and send you to a safe place," said Yang Ming. "Ah. Then, should I call Renping?" The old man was also anxious, and he started to walk in circles on the spot. Brother Wang's phone was not turned on. He was afraid that the mobile phone signal would be detected by the enemy, so he didn't dare to turn it on. Yang Ming explained. "Ah, so, what should we do now?" The old man naturally did not understand this. When Yang Ming said it, he believed it and asked quickly. "You two come with me. I will arrange a safe place for you to stay first, and then I will go to find Brother Wang." Yang Ming said. Okay. When the two old people saw that Yang Ming was telling the truth, they did not doubt it and followed Yang Ming out of the house. With the two old people in the car together, Yang Ming started the car and said to the two old people, "Previously, the enemy sent someone to monitor you. I saw him near your unit. Now, I knocked him out. He is behind the car. I will hand it over to Brother Wang in a while." As Yang Ming said, he pointed to the trunk behind the back seat of the car. When the two old people heard that there were two people who were knocked out in the car, they were shocked and quickly looked back at the trunk behind the car seat. Sure enough, they saw two black-shirt people behind. The old man was stunned. "I was wondering why these two guys had been wandering around the neighborhood corridor in the past few days. Sometimes when I was buying groceries, they seemed to follow me. At that time, I felt strange, but I didn't think much about it. I didn't think that these two people were sent by Renping's enemy to monitor us. It's okay now. You two follow me." "All right. Can Renping come tomorrow?" the old lady said and felt that it was inappropriate. "No, Renping is in trouble now. We can't let him walk around. Let's wait until things calm down. Yeah, we can't let Renping be distracted at this time." The old man also nodded. "Then I will go first. You should rest. If you are hungry, just call the waiter to deliver food to you. Don't go out and walk around if you have nothing to do," Yang Ming instructed. "We know. Don't worry." The old man nodded and said. Yang Ming left the two elders' room and was slightly relieved. There were sleeping pills in the mineral water. Yang Ming had prepared them in advance. After the two elders drank the water, they would naturally feel sleepy, and then fall asleep naturally. Although Yang Ming could hit the two elders' sleeping acupuncture points, the two elders would know that he wanted to harm them. This would also betray the two elders' trust in him, so Yang Ming still let them fall asleep naturally. Although they were more sleepy than usual, after Yang Ming's explanation, they would think that it was just because they got up early and were tired because of the car ride. They would not suspect anything after waking up. After locking the door of the two elders, Yang Ming returned to his room. However, Yang Ming did not leave immediately, but used his special ability to monitor the movements of the two elders in the room. Although Yang Ming had already said that they couldn't call Wang Renping now because it would bring trouble to him, it was hard to guarantee that the two elders couldn't help but call Wang Renping and tell him. However, shortly after Yang Ming left the room, the two elders lay in bed and fell asleep, which saved Yang Ming's worry. This kind of sleeping pill, after taking it, would require at least 24 hours of sleep. During this time, it was enough for Yang Ming to take action. Like the two black-shirted men, Yang Ming was still a little uneasy about whether the two elders could wake up early, so after the two elders fell asleep, he returned to the room where the two elders were and hit their sleeping acupuncture points. In this way, the two elders couldn't detect anything strange. When they woke up, they would think that they had slept too much. After leaving the door of the hotel, Yang Ming came to the door of a high-rise apartment complex according to the information provided by Little Ma. This was Wang Renping's residence. Wang Renping bought a high-rise apartment here and usually lived here. However, the management of the community here was very strict. It was a closed management. Yang Ming's car was stopped at the entrance of the community. According to the regulations, no one could enter without the community's door card. Yang Ming showed the pass in front of the car to the community's security guard. He didn't expect the community's security guard to be very serious and responsible. "Which department are you from?" Yang Ming couldn't be helped. He had to take out the other army ID that Xia Bingbao gave him for him to show to ordinary people when he was on a mission and handed it to the community's security guard. The community's security guard looked at Yang Ming's ID and let Yang Ming's car pass. The high-rise was located at the end of the community near the lake. If he got off and walked, it would take at least an hour, so Yang Ming had to drive in. Chapter 1259. When he came to the high-rise building by the lake, Yang Ming parked the car in a parking space next to it. He used his special ability to observe Wang Renping's residence on the information given by Little Ma. Wang Renping's residence was located on the 16th floor of the high-rise building. It was a mid-level location, which was not bad. It was a 3-bedroom apartment with a living room. The interior decoration and electrical appliances were very good. Yang Ming simply used his special ability to check the room. Wang Renping had not returned home yet. However, it was no wonder. These days, Tianlong had a lot of things to do. It was normal for Wang Renping to be busy until late at night. Since he had already come here to wait, Yang Ming was not anxious. Even if he was anxious, it was useless because time was limited. Yang Ming could not go to other places to find Wang Renping. In this case, Tianlong and Wang Renping would definitely not appear in the Sun family's company. Since their plan had been exposed, then Tianlong must be very careful. Tianlong must hide from me, so at this moment, he can't be in a place that Yang Ming is familiar with. No. Yang Ming suddenly slapped his forehead. If it is as I have analyzed, then Wang Renping is not likely to return to his residence. Wang Renping is also one of the important people around Tianlong. Tianlong is so cautious, then Wang Renping has no reason not to be cautious. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was a little frustrated. He thought that his move was smart, but he ignored such an important fact because of a small mistake. After the regret, Yang Ming also calmed down and carefully looked at the information that Little Ma gave him. After calming down, Yang Ming began to think about where Wang Renping might go. The home in this community was a place where one could go back or not. Wang Renping did not come back to live for a few days, but it did not affect him at all. He could live in a hotel and other places. Where is the place that Wang Renping must go? Now, Wang Renping must be as uncertain as Tianlong. It is very difficult to find him. Is there a place that Wang Renping must go or must go? In other words, it was a place one had to pass through. Yang Ming fell into contemplation. He didn't understand Wang Renping's living habits. His understanding of Wang Renping was entirely based on the thin page of A4 paper that Little Ma gave him. If I were Wang Renping, then at this moment, where would I go? Yang Ming decided to think about the problem from a different perspective and assumed that he was Wang Renping. Thinking from another perspective would often lead to unexpected results. According to the information, Wang Renping had no parents since he was a child. He was completely raised by his grandparents. That was to say, the relationship between Wang Renping and his grandparents was exceptionally good. According to Wang Renping's character, the most important people in his life were his grandparents. In other words, no matter what, he couldn't give up on his grandparents. Therefore, Wang Renping could choose not to go to other places, but it was absolutely impossible for Wang Renping not to go to his grandparents' home. Especially at this critical moment, Wang Renping would definitely be more sensitive. Maybe he would visit his grandparents every day. Maybe he just didn't enter the house, but he also had to make sure that they were safe. Thinking of this, Yang Ming suddenly had a cold sweat. He thought that he was smart enough to trick Wang Renping's grandparents to the hotel, but if Wang Renping went to his grandparents' home and found that the two elders were missing, then the consequences. If Wang Renping told Tian Long about this, then Tian Long would definitely be suspicious. As a result, it would be difficult to carry out his next action plan. Thinking of this, Yang Ming didn't dare to stay for a long time. He quickly started the car and turned back to the community where Wang Renping's grandparents lived. Yang Ming drove the car quickly. He hoped that he could catch up. Fortunately, there were not many cars on the road at night. Yang Ming ran a few red lights and finally rushed to the community where Wang Renping's grandparents lived in the shortest time possible. After parking the car, Yang Ming quickly ran into the community. This was a race against time. Yang Ming didn't dare to delay. He ran and used his special ability to explore the old house of Wang Renping's grandparents in the community. At first glance, Yang Ming couldn't help but be shocked. My guess is right. Wang Renping did come here. Looking at his anxious and sweaty appearance, Yang Ming knew that he had found out that the two elders were not at home. At this moment, Wang Renping was looking for valuable clues in the house while he took out his mobile phone. He seemed to be hesitating whether to call Tian Long. Indeed, as Yang Ming guessed, Wang Renping was most worried about his grandparents. Recently, the company was relatively turbulent internally. He had also offended a lot of people because of the Sun family. Although Tian Long's strong monetary attack temporarily controlled the situation, it was hard to guarantee that there were still people who were loyal to the Sun family who would endure and wait for the opportunity to retaliate. Wang Renping had become a great evil person in the eyes of these people. In their view, the Sun family's downfall was entirely because of him. If there was no him, Tian Long would not have gained power. In other words, if these people were given a chance, they might retaliate against him first. The people in the company knew his background and knew that the people he cared about most were his grandparents, so they might retaliate against his grandparents crazily if possible. Therefore, every night after work, Wang Renping would come here. He knew that Tian Long sent 2 bodyguards to protect his grandparents. Of course, he also knew that it was meant to monitor. However, this didn't matter. Wang Renping knew that what he was doing involved a lot. It was reasonable for Tian Long to send people to monitor his grandparents. Moreover, in this way, Wang Renping also felt a lot more at ease, so why not? However, every day, Wang Renping saw that these 2 bodyguards were there, so he talked to them a little. After confirming that his grandparents were safe, Wang Renping would leave. Although he wanted to enter the door, he was afraid that his grandparents would ask him something. Wang Renping had never lied to his grandparents, so if his grandparents really asked about the Sun family, his betrayal of the Sun family would be known by his grandparents. As a result, even if his grandparents didn't kill him, they would be angry to death. But today, Wang Renping came to his grandparents' residence after work as usual, but unlike usual, Wang Renping did not see the two bodyguards sent by Tianlong. Did they go to eat? Wang Renping was slightly stunned, but then he thought about it. It was unlikely because when Tianlong sent them here, he had already ordered them to take turns to eat at their positions when they were eating, or one person would go to buy boxed meals back to eat. This way, they could always maintain one person at their position, and it was unlikely that something would happen when there was no one guarding them. However, when Wang Renping came, there was no one here. Wang Renping looked around, but he didn't find these two people nearby, so he was anxious. He couldn't care much, so he quickly went upstairs and came to the door of his grandparents' house. He knocked on the door, but no one answered inside. Wang Renping's heart subconsciously tightened. He quickly took out the key and opened the door. Wang Renping walked quickly into his grandparents' old house. This was the place where he grew up, so he was very familiar with every inch of the place. Wang Renping quickly walked around the house, but he didn't find his grandparents. He turned around and went to the kitchen, but he found half-wrapped dumplings on the chopping board. There were fillings and unused dumpling wrappers next to them. Apparently, they were cooking dinner and had not eaten yet. Seeing the scene in front of him, Wang Renping almost couldn't stand still. What this meant was self-evident. When his grandparents were cooking, they unexpectedly left the house because of something. The two bodyguards who were sent by Tianlong to protect his grandparents also disappeared. What the hell is going on? Could it be that the Sun family's loyalists came to retaliate against me? Thinking of this, Wang Renping immediately began to sweat. However, could it be that Tianlong asked the two bodyguards to move my grandparents to another place? Wang Renping fell into contemplation again. These days are the most important days for Tianlong to achieve great things. I am also one of the most important figures. Could it be that Tianlong wants to achieve the purpose of coercing me? After thinking about it, Wang Renping felt that it was very possible, so Wang Renping wanted to call Tianlong and ask. However, he was afraid that this was not done by Tianlong. If he asked this, it seemed that he had doubts about Tianlong. Thinking of this, Wang Renping was a little hesitant. Just as Wang Renping was hesitating, there was suddenly a shout from outside the door, "Wang Renping." Wang Renping was shocked. He quickly raised his head and looked in the direction of the door, but he saw a man in his 20s standing at the door and staring at him. After Yang Ming saw that Wang Renping was really in the residence of the two elders, he quickly overloaded and ran upstairs. He used the fastest speed in his life to exert the explosive power of an assassin to the extreme. He hurried and finally stopped Wang Renping before he took out the phone to make a call. However, this was also thanks to Wang Renping's hesitation. If he was decisive, then Yang Ming would lose the opportunity. It could be said that he was seeking victory in the midst of danger. "Who are you?" Wang Renping immediately became vigilant. His grandparents and the two bodyguards sent by Tianlong had disappeared, and there was suddenly a young man who knew him, but he didn't know him. How could Wang Renping not be suspicious? "Are you looking for someone?" Yang Ming saw that he had caught up, so he was no longer anxious. The current situation was already in his hands, so Yang Ming also recovered his usual indifferent expression and asked faintly. Yang Ming naturally knew Wang Renping. Little Ma's information had a photo of Wang Renping, so Yang Ming could confirm that the person in front of him was Wang Renping without a doubt. "Who the hell are you? Why are you here?" Wang Renping listened to Yang Ming's words, and his heart trembled. "How do you know me? Don't ask so many useless questions." Yang Ming frowned. "My patience is limited. I will only ask you one last time. Are you looking for someone?" Wang Renping's hand trembled. He shook it at his waist and moved it away in an instant. He wanted to pull out the gun, but he didn't dare to. Listening to Yang Ming's tone, his grandparents seemed to be in his hands. If he really hurt him by pulling out the gun, then wouldn't his grandparents be in danger? Thinking of this, Wang Renping gave up the idea of pulling out the gun. What he had to do now was to figure out the whereabouts of his grandparents and the identity of the person in front of him before making a decision. Wang Renping's actions also fell into Yang Ming's eyes, but Yang Ming was not afraid of him pulling out the gun because the flying needle was in Yang Ming's hand. Once Wang Renping made any rash moves, Yang Ming's flying needle would shoot out immediately. "Are you the one who took my grandparents away?" Wang Renping asked straightforwardly. Since the other party didn't like to beat around the bush, then he simply didn't say anything meaningless. At present, the most important thing was the safety of his grandparents. Beating around the bush didn't do him any good. Obviously, Wang Renping was also very clear about this. "I thought you didn't care about them. Pull out the gun from your waist and throw it to me," Yang Ming said with a smile. Although Yang Ming was not afraid of Wang Renping carrying a gun, Yang Ming didn't want to be arrogant. It was a very natural thing to take away the enemy's weapon. Sometimes, it was not to be afraid of local resistance, but to show the strength of one's own side. Wang Renping's gun was at his waist. Now that it was winter, everyone was wearing thick winter clothes, so the gun at Wang Renping's waist couldn't be seen from the outside. Yang Ming asked him to throw the gun at his waist to him. This was the reason why Wang Renping was surprised. How did Yang Ming find out that he had a gun at his waist? Yang Ming also saw Wang Renping's surprise, but Yang Ming certainly wouldn't tell him that he had special abilities. Yang Ming just smiled and said, "Your hand just shook at your waist. You wanted to take something out, but then you stopped. You wanted to pull out a weapon to attack me at such a long distance. If it wasn't a gun, what was it? Do you know how to throw a knife?" When Yang Ming said this, Wang Renping suddenly realized that Yang Ming guessed that he had a gun at his waist. Since Wang Renping had determined that the person in front of him was the person who took his grandparents, he also knew that resistance was meaningless. It would only be more disadvantageous to his grandparents, so Wang Renping almost didn't hesitate. He pulled out the gun at his waist and threw it directly to Yang Ming. Yang Ming was not afraid that Wang Renping would shoot him while he pulled out the gun. First, Yang Ming's flying needles would be shot if Wang Renping made a move. Secondly, Yang Ming already knew that Wang Renping was a filial son. Since he already knew that Wang Renping's grandparents were in his hands, then Wang Renping would definitely not have the idea of acting rashly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to pull out the gun and give up immediately. After taking the gun thrown by Wang Renping, Yang Ming put it in the pocket of his coat and said, "It is rumored that Wang Renping is a filial son. It is not wrong at all. Sure enough, for your grandparents, you can do anything. I have done as you said. What do you want? Please say something." Wang Renping knew that Yang Ming kidnapped his grandparents, so there must be conditions, so he asked directly, "Please tell me. How are my grandparents now?" "Very good, very straightforward. I like to deal with straightforward people." Yang Ming was satisfied with Wang Renping's attitude at the moment. "If you are always so straightforward, then your grandparents will be safe." Wang Renping's face changed slightly. He knew that when Yang Ming said this, he must want him to do something. As long as he was satisfied with what he did, then he would ensure that his grandparents were fine. What Yang Ming didn't say just now was that if he didn't cooperate, then his grandparents would not be safe. How could Wang Renping not understand the meaning in Yang Ming's words? "What do you want me to do?" Wang Renping heard that his grandparents were fine now, so he was relieved. "Although I have something on you in my hands, I still don't feel at ease with you." As Yang Ming said this, he took out a small box from his pocket and then walked to Wang Renping. "What are you doing?" Wang Renping was somewhat inexplicable. "Open your mouth." As Yang Ming said this, his hand had already stretched out. He grabbed Wang Renping's cheek and pinched his mouth open. Then, he poured out a voodoo pill refined by Zhang Jishan and fed it into Wang Renping's mouth. Because Wang Renping's cheek was pinched by Yang Ming, the voodoo pill easily entered Wang Renping's throat and fell into his stomach. Wang Renping didn't expect Yang Ming's speed to be so fast. The whole action was done in one go. When he reacted to what was going on, the pill had already entered his stomach. Wang Renping was shocked. "What did you feed me?" "Nothing." Yang Ming smiled slightly. "Have you heard of voodoo?" "It doesn't matter if you haven't heard of it. Do you know the Three Corpses Divine Pill in Jean Yang's novel? Mine is similar to that. It breaks out once every 24 hours. If you don't take the antidote to suppress it in time, then you won't be able to see your grandparents." Wang Renping's face changed dramatically after listening to Yang Ming's words. He looked at Yang Ming angrily, but the next moment, he recovered his calmness. At this moment, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. Yang Ming had grasped his lifeline and controlled his grandparents. Wang Renping had no other choice. "What I want you to do, if there is no accident, should be done within 24 hours. At that time, I will give you the antidote and let you reunite with your grandparents. However, if things are messed up, I will also let you reunite." Yang Ming paused as he said this. Wang Renping showed a surprised expression and was somewhat puzzled. "I will let you reunite in hell," said Yang Ming coldly. Chapter 1260. It only took a moment for Yang Ming to change from a devilish smile to a stern expression. Wang Renping's body suddenly surged with chills. He had no doubt that Yang Ming would do this. Wang Renping still didn't know which force Yang Ming belonged to and what he wanted him to do. However, Wang Renping was not stupid. He had faintly guessed that Yang Ming's intention should be related to the resentment between the Sun family and Tianlong. Thinking of this, Wang Renping's heart calmed down. He thought of a sentence: "Sooner or later, you will pay for what you did." From the day he betrayed the Sun family, Wang Renping understood that sooner or later, the forces of the Sun family would come to him, but he had to do so. On the one hand, he owed Tianlong money. On the other hand, his grandparents were controlled by Tianlong. Of course, with Wang Renping's current economic strength, it was easy to pay back the money he owed. Tianlong's son Hongjun treated him well in the beginning. Wang Renping received a lot of red packets and benefits. But when Wang Renping mentioned to Tianlong that he wanted to pay back the money, Tianlong smiled and waved his hand, telling Wang Renping not to worry. Since Tianlong didn't want it, Wang Renping had no choice. He also understood that Tianlong wanted him to owe this favor, but who asked Tianlong to extend a helping hand at his most difficult moment? This reason was actually not the main reason. If Wang Renping really wanted to fall out with Tianlong, it was fine to forcibly pay back the money owed, but Wang Renping couldn't do this. Because his grandparents were still in Tianlong's sphere of influence, Tianlong would definitely use this as a threat. In desperation, Wang Renping would do so many things for Tianlong. But now, before Tianlong's matter was settled, someone had already come looking for him. "I will do my best if I can do it." Wang Renping took a deep breath and said. His grandparents were in the hands of the other party. How could Wang Renping dare not do it? Very good. Yang Ming didn't expect Wang Renping to break through so easily. He originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort, but after thinking about it, it was normal. He had blocked Wang Renping's lifeline. This was also the only thing that Wang Renping couldn't care about, and that was family affection. Therefore, under this threat and pressure, Wang Renping had no choice but to compromise. Yang Ming was very satisfied with Wang Renping's attitude. He turned around and closed the door behind him. Then, he said to Wang Renping, "I think you have probably guessed why I came to you." This was a very safe place. Yang Ming decided to carry out his plan here. As expected by Yang Ming, Wang Renping nodded. "How are the people from the Sun family? Is it safe?" Yang Ming looked at Wang Renping's eyes and asked. At this time, Yang Ming was not afraid that Wang Renping would lie, but there was nothing wrong with being careful. Brother Long just put the people of the Sun family under house arrest and did not hurt them, said Wang Renping truthfully. Yang Ming nodded. This was the same as what Tian Donghua said before. At least the people of the Sun family were not in danger, so Yang Ming was relieved. Thinking of Tian Donghua, Yang Ming quickly asked, "What about Tian Donghua? Do you know where he went?" Eldest young master, he was also put under house arrest by Brother Long. Speaking of this, Wang Renping suddenly realized and looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. I know who you are." "Oh." Yang Ming listened to Wang Renping and became interested. He looked at him up and down and said, "Do you know who I am?" "You are Yang Ming, eldest young master's classmate." Wang Renping nodded and said affirmatively. "Hee, you are smart. How did you guess?" Yang Ming looked at Wang Renping with interest and asked. "You asked me about eldest young master, which shows that you are familiar with eldest young master, and you care about the Sun family, which shows that you have a close relationship with the Sun family." Wang Renping analyzed. "Moreover, your age should be similar to eldest young master. I can speculate that you are Yang Ming from the above points." When Tian Donghua and Tian Long quarreled because of Yang Ming, Wang Renping was in the next room, so he also knew about Yang Ming. This was why he could immediately guess that the person in front of him was Yang Ming. "Yes, I am Yang Ming." Yang Ming appreciated Wang Renping's quick thinking. No wonder such a person could get Sun Hongjuan's trust and appreciation, but he did not expect him to be Tian Long's person. "But after this time, I am afraid he will never work for Tian Long again. No wonder Brother Long said that you are a difficult character." Wang Renping sighed and said self-deprecatingly, "I originally thought that you are just a college student. What ability can you have? Seeing you today, I know that I really underestimated you. You can actually find the place where my grandparents live, and you can deal with the 2 bodyguards outside to kidnap my grandparents. This strength cannot be underestimated. What you see is just the tip of the iceberg." Yang Ming said faintly, "Originally, you have to die after this incident, but you have to thank your grandparents. It was their words that made me change my mind." "What words?" Wang Renping didn't think about living from the beginning to the end. He felt that Yang Ming would not let him go. He only prayed that Yang Ming would not harm the innocent afterward and let his grandparents go. But now, listening to the meaning of Yang Ming's words, it seemed that he could still let him go. Wang Renping naturally became spirited. "You borrowed money from Tian Long in order to treat them. Then, you had no choice but to work for him and be restrained by him. It seems that you can be considered a filial son. So, you had no choice but to do all this. I will let you live." Yang Ming said this to reassure Wang Renping. He told Wang Renping that as long as Wang Renping worked hard for him, then Wang Renping would have the hope of reuniting with his grandparents. Yang Ming would not kill Wang Renping. This was also a psychological hint to people. A strong desire to survive could make Wang Renping loyal. This was the only chance to overthrow Tian Long. Yang Ming did not allow any mistakes in this, so he would use both kindness and threat to Wang Renping. Although it was under coercion, it also let him see hope. In this way, he was not afraid that Wang Renping would not work hard. Wang Renping took a deep breath. He still couldn't judge the truth of Yang Ming's words. He didn't know if he could fulfill it afterward, but it was always good to have hope. "Thank you." Wang Renping nodded. "Since things have developed to this point, just tell me what you want me to do." "How many senior executives of the Sun Family Company are involved in Tian Long's plan to usurp power this time?" asked Yang Ming. "There are about 30 people." Wang Renping thought about it and said. "How many people?" Yang Ming frowned. For this kind of ambiguous answer, Yang Ming was very annoyed. This was a crucial event. If one person was missed, it was possible to cause the entire plan to fail. Therefore, Yang Ming did not allow any omissions. 32 people. Wang Renping hesitated and said. "Are you sure?" Yang Ming glanced at Wang Renping and asked again. "Sure. Including me, it is 33 people." Wang Renping said affirmatively. "Well, you call them now and ask them to come here." I don't need to teach you how to say it. Yang Ming said faintly. However, as long as there is a flaw, Tianlong will be alerted. You can imagine the consequences yourself. Wang Renping nodded. He naturally knew how powerful it was. He picked up the phone and dialed the number on it according to the order in the phone book. Hello? President Zhang? I am Wang Renping. Wang Renping's tone was very plain. Even if the other party was a manager, he did not have a flattering tone. President Zhang over there, when he heard that the other party was Wang Renping, he immediately became enthusiastic. Secretary Wang, hello. What's the matter? Come to my old house now. I have something to tell you. Wang Renping's tone was very natural. There was no trace of inappropriateness. Oh. Okay, I will come right away. President Zhang naturally would not think much. Wang Renping's words represented Tianlong's meaning in most cases, so President Zhang was naturally very respectful to Wang Renping. When Wang Renping asked him to talk about something, he was obviously very happy. He felt that this was a good opportunity to get close to Wang Renping. Wang Renping hung up the phone and dialed another number. Hello? Is this Uncle Ma? I am Wang Renping. This Uncle Ma was a veteran who followed Tianlong to conquer the world. However, after receiving a call from Wang Renping, his attitude was still very warm. It couldn't be helped. This situation had happened since ancient times. The meritorious minister under the emperor still did not dare to offend the little eunuch around the emperor. Secretary Wang, hello. I don't know why you are looking for me so late at night, asked Uncle Ma. This is the case. Are you free now? Asked Wang Renping. You can come to my old house. I am looking for you for something. Many of Tianlong's orders were issued through Wang Renping, so Uncle Ma naturally did not dare to neglect. Since Wang Renping said that he was looking for something, he naturally had to go. Okay, then I will go. Yang Ming watched Wang Renping dial one phone call after another. It was unusually smooth. It was almost a few words to settle a person. Yang Ming sighed that he really found the right person. It was really suitable for Wang Renping to do this thing. It seemed that Wang Renping was quite prestigious among these people. Until the last call was made, Wang Renping breathed a sigh of relief and said to Yang Ming, Mr. Yang, I have invited these people according to your instructions. They may be here soon. What do you need me to do next? Before they enter the door in a while, you say that there are important things to discuss. Let them hand over their communication tools and weapons. Yang Ming thought about it and instructed Wang Renping. It's okay to hand in communication tools, but weapons. Wang Renping paused and said, when we usually have meetings, we often hand in communication tools, but we have never received weapons. If I want to take their weapons this time, they will definitely be suspicious. If the situation is not easy to control, and something goes wrong, Wang Renping was now also considering Yang Ming. It couldn't be helped. His grandparents were in the hands of Yang Ming. He had no choice but to side with Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded after listening to Wang Renping's words. These people had weapons in their hands, but Yang Ming was not afraid. He was a super assassin, and he had flying needles in his hands. Why would he be afraid of these people? Taking away the weapons was just to be safe. Since Wang Renping said so, it didn't matter whether the weapons were taken away or not. Then just accept the communication tools, said Yang Ming after listening. But Wang Renping was a little embarrassed at this time. He was originally on the opposite side of Yang Ming, but now he had become on the same side. He couldn't not consider Yang Ming. Once Yang Ming failed, his grandparents would be missing. Wang Renping naturally didn't want to see this happen, so he had to help Yang Ming. If they have weapons, will they still listen to you? Don't think that I only use means to coerce others. Yang Ming smiled. They can't make any waves. Seeing that Yang Ming was full of confidence, Wang Renping couldn't help it. At this moment, he could only believe that Yang Ming had a way. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Yang Ming winked at Wang Renping and flashed into the kitchen. Wang Renping went to open the door. The person who came was President Zhang, the first person Wang Renping called. After President Zhang came in, he saw Wang Renping and quickly greeted, "Secretary Wang, hello, hello. What can I do for you?" "President Zhang, please give me the communication tools first," said Wang Renping. "Oh. Okay. President Zhang also participated in Tianlong's high-level meetings. He knew the rules of the meeting, so he did not hesitate to take out his phone and turn it off before handing it to Wang Renping. President Zhang not only did not feel that it was inappropriate, but he was very happy. The more important the meeting, the more it showed that he was valued. President Zhang was naturally happy. "President Zhang, you should go into the house and rest first. There are still some people who haven't come yet. After they come, we will discuss the important matters." Wang Renping's expression was very natural. If he could control it well on the phone, it was reasonable. After all, there was no face-to-face situation. Now, Wang Renping did not show the slightest nervousness in the face-to-face situation, which showed that Wang Renping's psychological quality was very good. Yang Ming watched what happened at the door with his special ability in the kitchen. He felt that this Wang Renping was really a good talent. No wonder he could gain Sun Hongjuan's trust. It seemed that he was also a ruthless character. President Zhang entered the big house of the old house and waited without the slightest suspicion. Then, other people came one after another. Under Wang Renping's request, they all handed over their communication tools. However, the others were fine. Only one person showed doubts. This person was Li Baihu. Like Wang Renping, he was also one of the most trusted people around Tianlong. "Brother Wang, I don't have to hand over my phone, right?" Li Baihu frowned and asked. "Brother Hu, this is the rule. You know it." Wang Renping did not show any nervousness at all and still said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "Brother Wang, why did you gather so many people here?" "Why? Is it Brother Long's idea?" Li Baihu glanced inside the house and asked. "Why? You don't believe it?" Wang Renping snorted. "Do you want me to call Brother Long and let him talk to you?" Li Baihu looked at Wang Renping deeply and said, "That's not necessary." After that, he took out his phone, turned it off, and threw it into the small basket in front of Wang Renping. Although Li Baihu was somewhat dissatisfied in his heart, he really didn't dare to call Tianlong to question him. He also knew that during this time, Wang Renping's status had advanced by leaps and bounds. He was already ahead of him, so what Wang Renping said could really represent what Tianlong said. The reason why Li Baihu stabbed him was because he was dissatisfied in his heart, so he took the opportunity to find fault. "Brother Hu. Hello, Brother Hu. Brother Hu is here." Li Baihu was also a popular person around Tianlong, so after entering the house, everyone greeted him. This sense of superiority made Li Baihu's self-esteem unprecedentedly satisfied, and he forgot the previous unhappiness. "It seems that I still have a lot of prestige." Li Baihu thought so in his heart. Wang Renping locked the door and walked into the room. The room suddenly quieted down, including Li Baihu, and he closed his mouth. However, the previous sense of superiority was suddenly broken by the arrival of Wang Renping, which made him even more uncomfortable in his heart. This time, I asked everyone to come together to discuss a major event. As Wang Renping spoke until here, he glanced at the door. At this time, Yang Ming also walked in. Li Baihu was increasingly dissatisfied with Wang Renping's tone. At this time, he couldn't help but say, "What's the big event? It's so late already. Can't you let me sleep?" Perhaps only Li Baihu dared to talk to Wang Renping like this. Everyone looked at Li Baihu and Wang Renping like a joke to see how Wang Renping would respond. However, Wang Renping didn't care about Li Baihu at all, but stepped aside. At this time, a young man came in. If you don't want to die, then shut up. Yang Ming glanced at Li Baihu coldly, walked to the center of the room, and stood proudly in front of these people. Who are you? Li Baihu and others had never seen Yang Ming, so when they saw a stranger suddenly come in, they were shocked. Because Wang Renping was the most important person around Tianlong, the person brought by Wang Renping would naturally not be an ordinary character. Maybe he was sent by Tianlong, so these people didn't dare to show anything before they figured out Yang Ming's true identity. Otherwise, when Tianlong investigated, it would be a big deal. Hearing Yang Ming's tone of speech, these people didn't know the background of Yang Ming, so they immediately settled down, including Li Baihu. He just asked who Yang Ming was, and he didn't dare to speak rudely. Chapter 1261. My name is Yang Ming. I don't know if you have heard of me before. Yang Ming's voice was very soft, but it had an unquestionable majesty. He stood on the spot and looked condescendingly at the senior executives of the Sun family company who were bribed by Tianlong. Yang Ming? Most of the people present had never heard of the name Yang Ming, but there were a few people, such as Li Baihu, who were very close to Tianlong, who knew the existence of Yang Ming. Li Baihu's brows suddenly frowned, and he glanced at Wang Renping. Brother Wang, what do you mean? Don't you know that Brother Long is now dealing with Yang Ming? After Yang Ming reminded him, Li Baihu remembered immediately. Tianlong showed him a photo of Yang Ming, but he didn't have a deep impression at that time. However, now that Yang Ming said it, the shadows of the two people overlapped. This person is Yang Ming, whom Tianlong wants to kill. Why is he with Wang Renping? Li Baihu was not stupid. He suddenly became nervous and stared at Wang Renping. It doesn't mean anything, Yang Ming interrupted Li Baihu's words. I have already said that if you don't want to die, then shut up. I think I have been very concise. Don't you understand? I don't want to say it a third time. I won't say it a third time, but I will take action. Fuck your mother. Who are you? How dare you talk to me like this? Wang Renping, you little bastard, wait until I deal with this kid, then I will settle the account with you. Li Baihu said as he took out a gun from his waist and pointed it at Yang Ming. However, before he could shoot, his neck stiffened, and he lay straight on the ground. This sudden change shocked everyone present. When they heard Li Baihu's words, everyone immediately understood that this Wang Renping had probably colluded with Yang Ming. Seeing that Li Baihu was going to take out his gun to kill Yang Ming, everyone was very excited. They were secretly glad that Wang Renping did not take away their weapons before. However, just as they were fantasizing about Li Baihu killing Yang Ming with one shot and then killing Wang Renping, the traitor, something happened again. Li Baihu fell down without any warning. He fell flat on the ground. I've already warned you, but don't blame anyone else for seeking your own death, Yang Ming said casually, as if the previous scene was not his doing. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was in an uproar. Everyone, including Wang Renping, was in disbelief. They looked at what was happening in front of them in horror. Li Baihu was killed just like that? It happened in a split second. They didn't even see Yang Ming make a move. Those with sharp eyes only saw Yang Ming slightly raise his hand and Li Baihu fall to the ground with a groan. They didn't know what Yang Ming did after he raised his hand and how Li Baihu fell to the ground. Yang Ming's sudden move shocked everyone in the audience. He could kill with just a raise of his hand. What kind of terrifying strength is this? Don't look at it stupidly. He is not dead. Yang Ming was very satisfied with the situation at the scene. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey was like this. If he didn't show a move to shock these people, then they would definitely not be afraid of him, and they would not cooperate with him obediently. Not dead? Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It was easy to say that he was not dead. However, he will never wake up again. It is no different from being dead. He has become a fool. Yang Ming said indifferently, this is the first time. I will teach him a lesson. If someone questions my next speech, then I will not be polite. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he glanced at the people in the audience coldly. Seeing that everyone was trembling with fear, he was quite satisfied. Very good. Since everyone has no objections, then I will continue. Li Baihu was lying on the ground, but the people present no longer cared about his safety. Now these people felt that they couldn't protect themselves. How could they have the mind to care about other people's affairs? In fact, Yang Ming also knew the thoughts of these people. Previously, he asked Wang Renping to call these people urgently. After calling them, he just let them rest and wait in the house. He didn't tell them what was going on. Until all the people came, Yang Ming appeared. This also caught them off guard, so they didn't have any chance to collude. So in this way, Yang Ming only needed to deal with one of them and give them a warning. He could shock the others and give them a show of strength. These people were in danger, and it was impossible for them to attack together. If these people took out their weapons to resist at the same time, Yang Ming really didn't have the confidence to control all of them. After all, Yang Ming was not a god, nor was he the thousand-hand bodhisattva. It was impossible to defeat or kill these people at the same time. Although Yang Ming could be confident that he would not be hurt by these people, he couldn't guarantee that this plan would not be ruined. However, Yang Ming knew that everyone was in danger. In this case, in the absence of a unified premeditated plan, who among these people would be the first to take the lead? Whoever took the lead first would end up like Li Baihu on the ground. People were selfish. Who could selflessly resist for everyone at this time? Don't kill yourself. These people all bowed their heads and didn't dare to have any objections. Wang Renping, give them one of the pills in this box. Yang Ming handed the small box in his pocket to Wang Renping and instructed. Wang Renping nodded and took the small box handed over by Yang Ming. He came to President Zhang and said, "President Zhang, open your mouth." President Zhang's cold sweat immediately fell down. He didn't know what Wang Renping wanted to give him, but it was obviously not a good thing, so President Zhang immediately became a little timid. What is this? I have also eaten it. I won't die. Wang Renping snorted and ignored him. He pinched open Yang Ming's cheek, just like how Yang Ming pinched him before. Then, he took out a pill and threw it in. Seeing President Zhang's throat rumble, Wang Renping was satisfied and released his hand. President Zhang covered his throat and was somewhat at a loss. However, since he had already eaten it, then he accepted his fate. He was originally a timid and greedy person. He agreed to help Tian Long swallow the Sun family's company under Tian Long's huge profits and coercion. Therefore, when a person like him was threatened, he was done for. He didn't want to resist at the moment. He just waited for a while to see what Yang Ming would instruct him to do. It's your turn. Open your mouth. Wang Renping came to the next person under President Zhang. He pinched the person's cheek and then shouted. This person was also a coward. He didn't dare to say anything and just ate the pill given by Wang Renping. The matter progressed unusually smoothly, which made Yang Ming a little surprised. With the good precedent of these two at the beginning, the people behind were more successful. They opened their mouths obediently. After that, one person seemed to be reluctant, but when he saw Li Baihu lying straight on the ground, he gritted his teeth and closed his eyes. He obediently took the pill that Wang Renping gave him. However, there were honest people, and there were naturally people who were dissatisfied in their hearts. For example, Ma Chang. He was the person who Wang Renping called Uncle Ma before. Ma Chang was not a character who could be bullied. He was one of the people who followed Tian Long in the underworld. Even his seniority in Donghai was earlier than Tian Long. He was a veteran. Although it couldn't be said that his hands were as big as mountains, he was also a guy who dared to kill. He had never been afraid of anyone. Moreover, Ma Chang was the same as Wang Renping and Li Baihu. He was one of the more trusted people around Tian Long, but he followed Tian Long much earlier than Wang Renping and Li Baihu, so he was also the most loyal one. Now, seeing that Li Baihu's life and death were unknown, Wang Renping betrayed Tianlong and became a gang with Yang Ming. Ma Chang was very clear about the character of the other people present. Most of these people were as timid as mice who changed the rudder according to the wind. Otherwise, Tianlong wouldn't be able to succeed very easily and bribe them. Therefore, it was almost impossible to unite these people to resist Yang Ming and Wang Renping. Who among these people was willing to stand up first? Therefore, in desperation, Ma Chang could only endure and wait for the right time. He also knew that the pill that Wang Renping gave them was definitely not a good thing. Maybe it was a slow-acting poison. As long as they ate it, it was basically impossible to resist. If they wanted to live, wouldn't they have to do whatever Yang Ming told them to do? Therefore, when Ma Chang saw that it was about to be his turn, he suddenly became nervous. He couldn't let Yang Ming and Wang Renping succeed. He must resist. Thinking of this, Ma Chang's hand slowly moved towards his waist. After he killed Yang Ming with a gun, he would kill Wang Renping. Previously, Li Baihu failed, but Ma Chang didn't think that he would fail. Because before Li Baihu took out the gun, he talked a lot to Yang Ming, which also aroused Yang Ming's vigilance, so he failed. As long as Ma Chang took advantage of Yang Ming's unpreparedness, he would silently take out the gun and kill Yang Ming with one shot. Although Yang Ming didn't look in Ma Chang's direction, it seemed that Yang Ming stood there indifferently, but Yang Ming's special ability was to look around. He could know the movements of these people without looking. But how would Ma Chang know? When he saw that Yang Ming didn't look in his direction, he thought that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Ma Chang suppressed the excitement in his heart and held his breath. He pulled out the gun from his waist and was about to shoot at Yang Ming. Unfortunately, he didn't raise his hand that was holding the gun. His whole body was paralyzed on the ground, and he was still holding the gun in his hand. Although many of these people didn't see Ma Chang's previous plan, at this moment, when they saw him lying on the ground with a gun in his hand, they quickly understood what was going on. It must be that Ma Chang took advantage of Yang Ming's unpreparedness and wanted to shoot Yang Ming with the gun, but he was detected by Yang Ming. Then, he used some unknown method to kill Ma Chang. I will say it again. Obediently take the medicine, and I guarantee that you will be safe. Otherwise, he will end up like you. Yang Ming didn't look at Ma Chang. He still lowered his head indifferently and said coldly to the people present. With the previous lesson of Li Baihu, coupled with Ma Chang, the latecomer, these people didn't dare to have any disloyalty. Those who had the same thoughts as Ma Chang had also given up the idea of resistance at this moment. If they resisted, they would die. If they didn't resist, they might still be alive. Although they didn't know what the pill was, they saw that the people who took it seemed to be fine for the time being. It wasn't something that could immediately poison people. It seemed that Yang Ming asked them to do something. If they did it, they could continue to live, so these people were relieved. Since things had already reached this point, then they would do whatever Yang Ming said. President Zhang and the people who had already taken the pill secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, they had obediently taken the pill that Wang Renping gave them. Otherwise, they might be the ones who fell to the ground. After Ma Chang fell to the ground, the follow-up people even took the initiative to open their mouths when Wang Renping walked in front of them and ate the pill into their mouths. However, it was no wonder. Who would want to be the second generation of Ma Chang or the second generation of Li Baihu? Soon, the pills were eaten up, and there were still some left in the box. Wang Renping returned the box to Yang Ming, and Yang Ming put it in his pocket. It seems that you are all very obedient. Yang Ming looked around at everyone in the room with satisfaction. I like to cooperate with obedient people. The people present, including Wang Renping, smiled bitterly in their hearts. Can we not be obedient? You just put down 2 people with a raise of your hand. If we are not obedient, wouldn't the next one be us? As for cooperation. How is this cooperation? It is obviously a unilateral threat, it is not cooperation at all. However, these could only be thought about. Who dared to anger Yang Ming and say these things? Therefore, these people had to show gratitude and fear. Mr. Yang, if there is anything, just tell us. As long as we can do it, we will try our best to do it. At this time, the hearts of these people were united, and they almost said this sentence in unison. In fact, there are some things that I don't need to say. You should understand it in your heart. Li Baihu has said that Tian Long regards me as an enemy, so similarly, he is also my enemy, said Yang Ming. Everyone nodded. Even if Yang Ming didn't say it, they all guessed it. I don't ask you to do anything. You just need to take away Tian Long's power. I am going to find trouble with Tian Long. You don't care, don't ask, and don't do anything. Just watch the fun from the side. Yang Ming looked at the crowd and said. What? The people present looked at Yang Ming inconceivably. Is it so simple? They were still a little afraid to confront Tian Long, but they had to do it under pressure. However, Yang Ming asked them to not care, not ask, and not do anything. Just watch the fun from the side. They didn't believe this kind of good thing. Isn't this equivalent to not helping either side? I don't need anyone to help me deal with whoever I want to deal with. It's fine as long as you don't cause trouble, said Yang Ming faintly. Everyone thought about it. It was really the case. Yang Ming could take down Ma Chong and Li Baihu with a raise of his hand. If he wanted to deal with Tian Long, who else would he need to help? Yang Ming controlled them because he didn't want them to cause trouble. Thinking of this, everyone also calmed down. Whether Tian Long died or not, it had nothing to do with them. As long as it didn't affect them, then it was fine. Where are the people of the Sun family under house arrest? Asked Yang Ming. Zhang Jinghua listened to Yang Ming's question and quickly stood up. Mr. Yang, the people of the Sun family are imprisoned in a garbage disposal site. I am responsible for looking after them. Very good, then you take good care of them. If someone loses a hair, then you can forget about living. Yang Ming glanced at Zhang Jinghua. Don't worry, Mr. Yang. Everything is fine with the people of the Sun family, said Zhang Jinghua quickly. Yang Ming nodded and then glanced at the people present. I gave you a kind of voodoo. If you don't understand what it means, you can also understand it as a slow-acting poison. Have you heard of the 3-carrion divine pill in Jin Yang's novel, The Smiling, Proud Wanderer? The effect is similar to that. Within every 24 to 30 hours, you must take the antidote. Otherwise, you can imagine the consequences yourself. Everyone had guessed that Yang Ming gave them a kind of poison. After they cooperated with Yang Ming would give them the antidote, but they didn't expect this poison to break out once every 24 hours. Isn't this frequency too fast? However, even if everyone's face changed color, no one dared to raise any questions. Dying tomorrow was better than dying now, not to mention that they shouldn't die tomorrow. If Yang Ming wanted these people to die, he wouldn't give them a slow-acting poison at all. Wouldn't it be more convenient to kill them directly? Therefore, even if this voodoo was quite scary, everyone calmed down and quietly listened to Yang Ming continue. Wang Renping, you distribute the suppressing pills that you need to take tomorrow to everyone. As Yang Ming spoke, he took out another small box from his pocket. It was the suppressing pills made by Zhang Zhishan. Yes. Wang Renping took the small box and began to distribute it to everyone. The people who got the pills were very careful to keep them close to their bodies. This was a life-saving thing. They couldn't lose it. If things go well, I will detoxify you. Don't worry about this. After all, the operation of the entire group still needs you. Yang Ming painted an impossible pie for these people. Who didn't know how to bullshit? These people suddenly showed joy after listening to Yang Ming's words. Although they didn't know if Yang Ming could fulfill what he said, this promise was much better than nothing. The suppressing voodoo antidote was distributed. Wang Renping also kept one for himself, and then returned the rest to Yang Ming. Yang Ming had actually been watching Wang Renping's movements with the corner of his eyes. He wanted to see if Wang Renping would leave a few suppressing voodoo antidotes, but Wang Renping was honest. He only left one. This made Yang Ming very satisfied. In fact, Wang Renping also understood that this suppressing antidote could only suppress, but it couldn't completely detoxify. What was the point of keeping a few more? Chapter 1262. The smoothness of the matter was somewhat beyond Yang Ming's expectations. However, in fact, it was not smooth. At least, there were two troublemakers, Li Baihu and Ma Chang. It was just that Yang Ming was too strong and overbearing. Before these two people could cause any trouble, they were put down by Yang Ming. Now, no one cared about their life and death, although these two people were not dead yet. Yang Ming just turned these two people into idiots. Li Baihu and Ma Chang were extremely loyal people around Tianlong. Such people were difficult to be driven by interests. Even if their lives were threatened, they would not give in so easily. It was even possible that they would not hesitate to sacrifice themselves to protect their master, Tianlong. Therefore, for this kind of dangerous time bomb, Yang Ming would never be soft-hearted. He would not let them wake up directly. This also avoided some unnecessary trouble. However, Yang Ming did not kill these two people on the spot because, after all, many of the people present were not from the underworld. These people would definitely be uncomfortable if the scene was too violent. Going too far was as bad as not going far enough. As long as he could make an example out of them, it was enough. It seemed that his show of authority was still very successful. These people were obedient, and they did not create too much psychological pressure to mess up. This was the effect that Yang Ming wanted. Well, you can go back. Remember, do what you should do tomorrow. Restrain your men. Don't bother with things that you shouldn't care about. Yang Ming instructed the people present. Yes, Mr. Yang. How could these people not respond? This was already the best result. Only a fool would not accept it. You all go back to your own home and have a good sleep. Yang Ming waved his hand and said to these people. The people present, except for Wang Renping, all moved out of the room. When they walked to the door, they were blown by the cold wind. Everyone found that their backs had been soaked in cold sweat as if they had experienced life and death. Yes, it was like experiencing life and death. If any of them couldn't hold back and had any doubts like Li Baihu or Ma Chang, then he would be lying on the cold floor. After these people left Wang Renping's old house, they quickly left here. They only hoped that this was a nightmare, and they could wake up from this nightmare as soon as possible. After the people left, Wang Renping silently closed the door. He knew that Yang Ming would definitely look for him to talk about something, so he was not in a hurry. After doing all this, he quietly walked to Yang Ming. Mr. Yang, what about these two people? First, throw them into another house. After Tianlong falls, send them to the hospital. It can be considered as a humanitarian act, said Yang Ming. Wang Renping nodded. These two people whom I am so familiar with have become vegetative people in the blink of an eye. I can imagine how terrifying Yang Ming's strength is. This is not a college student, he is simply a killing god. The two dead people were carried to the small house that originally belonged to him in the old house. Wang Renping had not lived in this house for a long time because after following Tianlong, he was stationed by Sun Hongjuan's side as a driver and bodyguard. He often left early and returned late. He was afraid to affect the rest of the two elders, so Wang Renping bought a house outside. Throwing the two people on the floor, Wang Renping closed the door. In fact, he didn't need to close it at all. The two people were unconscious, and they couldn't hear the conversation between Yang Ming and Wang Renping. After doing all this, Wang Renping returned to the big house where Yang Ming was and said, Mr. Yang, what should we do next? Do you know where Tianlong is hiding now? Asked Yang Ming. I know. Wang Renping nodded and said, he has a villa in the suburbs. Because it is a small property right, no one knows. He secretly bought it for emergency use. How is the security there? Asked Yang Ming. There are 20 bodyguards, and everyone's skills are good, said Wang Renping. To what extent are they good? Asked Yang Ming. They are not as good as Li Baihu, but they are not bad. Wang Renping thought about it and said. Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded after listening. Li Baihu didn't even have a chance to use his skills, and he was finished. I really don't know how good Li Baihu's skills are. However, it wouldn't be too good. After all, Tian Long was not a big shot. Even the masters around Houghton and General Kars, Yang Ming didn't put them in his eyes, let alone Tian Long. Wang Renping's words surprised Yang Ming. Originally, Yang Ming expected that Tian Long must be hiding in an unknown place. Even Wang Renping wouldn't know. Because in this case, if Tian Long was smart, he must be careful of anyone. Even his own son, Tian Donghua, had doubts about him, not to mention other people. But Tian Long didn't seem to realize this and told Wang Renping where he lived. Yang Ming's original plan was that Wang Renping might not know where Tian Long lived, but he would definitely meet with Tian Long during the day. However, now it seemed that Tian Long's trust in Wang Renping was beyond Yang Ming's expectations. But now, the plans seemed to be able to be further adjusted. If they acted at night, then the success rate would be higher, and it was the time when Tian Long was most relaxed. Although Yang Ming didn't put Tian Long's defensive power in his eyes, sometimes it was better to be safe. If there was a shortcut and he didn't take it, he would be pretending to be badass. Therefore, Yang Ming changed his plan temporarily after listening to Wang Renping's words. He decided to change the plan of going directly to Tian Long tomorrow to the evening. He would leave tonight and go to the villa where Tian Long was hiding. When Wang Renping saw Yang Ming pondering, he also thought that Yang Ming might act tonight. However, Yang Ming didn't speak, so Wang Renping naturally didn't say much. He waited for Yang Ming's final decision. When does Tian Long usually rest? Asked Yang Ming. About 11:00 in the evening. There is no fixed time. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later, said Wang Renping. Yang Ming nodded and said, okay, then let's act at night. If they acted at night, then Yang Ming's previous actions seemed to be a bit unnecessary. At least, they didn't have to be in such a hurry to do it. Yang Ming's approach was not wrong if he wanted to control these two-faced guys. Even if he helped the Sun family to regain the company, these people must have strong high-pressure control to ensure that they would not have similar situations in the future. However, this matter didn't have to be rushed. At least, it didn't have to be done before Tian Long was moved. After Tian Long was settled, it was not too late to deal with these people slowly, and it wouldn't be as risky as tonight. To be honest, if these people were united tonight, then it was very likely to be a bad thing. Although Yang Ming determined that most of these people were timid and selfish people, who could guarantee that these people would not be called upon to be united? There were accidents in everything. However, since these people had been controlled first, it was good for his plan. Yang Ming didn't think much about it. Everything had to be prepared. Previously, Yang Ming wasn't sure whether Wang Renping knew Tian Long's residence. Moreover, who could guarantee whether Tian Long was at his residence tonight? A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, not to mention a sinister and cunning person like Tian Long. Looking at the time, it was only 9:00 in the evening. There were still 2 or 3 hours before Tian Long's rest time. Yang Ming glanced at Wang Renping and asked, "Have you eaten dinner?" "Not yet." Wang Renping replied truthfully. He came directly to see his grandparents after work. Naturally, he didn't eat. He planned to go back to his residence to eat. Who would have thought that he would actually meet Yang Ming? "Let's go. Let's eat something together." Yang Ming stood up and then walked in the direction of the door. Wang Renping was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Yang Ming to make such a suggestion. "Let me eat with him?" Seeing that Yang Ming could kill people with a raise of his hand, Wang Renping had just learned about Yang Ming's coldness, but he didn't expect that Yang Ming had such a side to him. It turned out that this person's heart was not so bad. It seemed that everything he did was not so abominable. Originally, helping Tian Long to seize power was a wrong thing. The appearance of Yang Ming only helped them correct the mistake. The days of early spring were still very cold. The cold wind at night made Yang Ming shiver unconsciously. He suddenly remembered Zhao Ying. It was the same moonlit night, at the same time. He didn't know if Wang Xiaoyan had told Zhao Ying frankly about the matter between him and her. On QQ, Yang Ming had already learned about her thoughts from Zhao Ying. Zhao Ying was brooding about the fact that her best friend, Wang Xiaoyan, was with him behind her back. Women's thoughts were sometimes very strange. Zhao Ying didn't mind him being with other women, but only her best woman was with him. Zhao Ying's emotions were unusually intense. Perhaps, this was the anger of being deceived. Other women had nothing to do with her. If they were with her, she wouldn't have too many thoughts. However, Wang Xiaoyan was different. Zhao Ying had always regarded her as a good sister and best friend. She even told Wang Xiaoyan her thoughts. In this case, Wang Xiaoyan secretly got together with her without telling Zhao Ying. How could Zhao Ying not be angry? However, if Wang Xiaoyan could be honest with Zhao Ying about the matter between her and him, Ang Ming believed that with Zhao Ying's character, she could understand Wang Xiaoyan. After all, the two people were best friends. Zhao Ying was angry not because Wang Xiaoyan stole her man, but because she was deceived and didn't tell her. Therefore, it was much easier to let Wang Xiaoyan untie Zhao Ying's knot in her heart than to talk to Zhao Ying personally. Zhao Ying might not listen to what Yang Ming said now, but she should still listen to what Wang Xiaoyan said. After all, the foundation of their friendship was there. They were both girls. They had more private conversations, and it was easier for them to communicate. Now it seemed that since Zhao Ying could go to Wang Xiaoyan's house and live with Wang Xiaoyan, it meant that Zhao Ying didn't resent Wang Xiaoyan in her heart. Perhaps she was just a little angry. After the two people talked about it, it was fine. Yang Ming sighed. I don't know what the two people talked about. There were too many things in the past few days. Otherwise, Yang Ming could live at home and use his special ability to peek at Wang Xiaoyan's house next door to see what she and Zhao Ying were talking about. It was exciting just thinking about it. Of course, Yang Ming didn't have a hobby of peeping, but peeping at his own woman shouldn't be considered peeping, right? Although Zhao Ying wasn't his yet, Yang Ming believed that one day she would be. In fact, Zhao Ying still lived with Wang Xiaoyan tonight. The two of them had cleared up the misunderstanding and were no longer suspicious of each other because of Yang Ming. Zhao Ying took a shower and sat on the sofa with Wang Xiaoyan to watch TV. Originally, it was a very warm and beautiful scene. However, on the TV, there was such a film. This film was about a woman who bought a house next to her lover's house so that it would be convenient for her to have an affair with her lover. That way, her lover could climb over the wall and have an affair with that woman in the middle of the night. Zhao Ying was amused as she watched, especially when she saw Wang Xiaoyan's face getting redder and redder. Zhao Ying finally couldn't help but laugh. Ha! I can't. Yan, don't misunderstand. I'm not laughing at you. When I bought the house, I hadn't gotten along with Yang Ming yet. Wang Xiaoyan blushed and explained. However, no matter how she looked at it, there was a sense of self-denial. I really didn't laugh at you. It was fine if Wang Xiaoyan didn't explain. When she explained, Zhao Ying couldn't help but laugh. I will move tomorrow. Wang Xiaoyan clenched her teeth and turned off the TV, but her face was still red. Heh, it's not so serious. These TV dramas are fabricated. Zhao Ying saw that Wang Xiaoyan was serious and quickly comforted her. However, Zhao Ying regretted it after she said it. What is fabricated? Isn't Wang Xiaoyan's house really next to Yang Ming's house? It's better not to say it. Wouldn't it make Wang Xiaoyan more embarrassed if she said it? Yen Yen, why don't we change houses? I really don't mean that. Zhao Ying was anxious. She was afraid that Wang Xiaoyan would be angry, so she said it. Hee, change houses? Could it be that you also want to play the plot in the TV? Wang Xiaoyan was not angry, but she was a little embarrassed. It was not easy to catch Zhao Ying's words. How could she let it go? How is it possible? Zhao Ying was embarrassed by Wang Xiaoyan this time. The two were finally even this time. However, the two quickly recovered their calmness and went upstairs hand in hand. It was late at night. Shouldn't they rest? When they came to the entrance of the community, Yang Ming's thoughts were also taken back from Zhao Ying and Wang Xiaoyan. He opened the door with the remote control and got in the car. Then, he opened the door of the front passenger seat and signaled Wang Renping to get in the car. Wang Renping did not hesitate and got in the car directly. Yang Ming started the car and then asked Wang Renping, who was on the side, "You are more familiar with Donghai than me. Is there a place to eat nearby?" "Yes, there is a geezer Wang's big bowl of noodles not far away. When I was young, I often ate there." When Wang Renping said this, he suddenly reminisced about the past. Although his family was very poor at that time, it was very fast. He lived with his grandparents every day, and he did not have so many troubles. Now, although he was richer than before, was he really happy? Helping the tyrant and letting his grandparents suffer with him. Wang Renping really wanted to live a good life. It was as simple as being an ordinary driver. He did not need to make a lot of money, but he did not want to live under pressure and his own inner condemnation like now. Yang Ming did not expect Wang Renping to mention such a place. He parked the car in front of the geezer Wang's big bowl of noodles. Yang Ming and Wang Renping got off the car together. At this time, it was almost closing time. The owner of the noodle house, Geezer Wang, was packing up. When he looked up, he saw a car parked at the door of the noodle house. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. After taking a closer look, one of the people who got off the car was actually very familiar. "Renping? Is that you?" Geezer Wang narrowed his eyes and looked at Wang Renping in front of him. Wang Renping had not come to this noodle house to eat noodles since he was sent by Tian Long for training and assigned to Sun Hongjun as a driver and bodyguard. It had been 10 years, so when Geezer Wang saw Wang Renping, he was a little surprised. "Uncle Wang, it's me." Wang Renping walked over cordially and enthusiastically. He seemed to have temporarily forgotten his previous troubles and returned to his youth. "Give us a big bowl of noodles." "Okay." Geezer Wang nodded and said to the people behind him, "2 big bowls of noodles, add more minced meat." Wang Renping's family used to be poor, so every time Wang Renping came to eat noodles, Geezer Wang would take special care of him and add more minced meat to his noodles. Now, he habitually added a sentence. Wang Renping listened to Geezer Wang's words and couldn't help but laugh. "I didn't expect Uncle Wang to still remember." "How can I not remember? You have been eating noodles here for several years." Geezer Wang smiled. "You haven't been here for many years, right? Why are you still driving a car? Do you have a big career now?" "It's not a big career. I'm just a driver for the boss." Wang Renping replied with a smile. "That's very good." Geezer Wang nodded. "You need to have the ability to drive for the big boss. Nowadays, how can you stand on your own feet without some ability?" There was no one in the evening. It didn't take long for 2 big bowls of steaming hot noodles to be served. The aroma was overflowing. At first glance, it was the juice made with old soup, which increased Yang Ming's appetite. In fact, many delicious things might not exist in those big hotels. In some streets and alleys, there were many delicious things in the world. Although the price was not expensive, they were very delicious. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.